and I would really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful southern coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
That's right. He may not know my opinion or agree with my opinion. Unknown places, I tell you. I want to thank you for joining the Rob Taylor Report. Hello, Oregon. Hello, Coos County. And hello, America. It's been a wonderful last couple of days, I got to tell you. It's been rainy outside, but there have been a lot of things that have been happening that's, getting better for Oregon. I know the situation on the political landscape, well, it looks like an apocalypse is about to happen because we've already lost the Senate. We've lost the Senate, and they have a super majority. And the way the Republicans are going, they're probably going to get a super duper majority. At that point, I think the senators for the Democrats get to wear a cape. Yes, they're the super duper majority. But in the Republicans, they're also losing in the House because I think it's I forget the lady's name who's running, and her seat is still up for count. Walden, is it Walden? Boy, I'll find out. I bet one of my guests knows. And she's having a problem. They haven't declared her the winner yet, or a winner for anybody in that race. And so the Democrats may get a super majority as well in the House. And it's a sad, sad day on that part of the political landscape. But I'll tell you what, for people in Coos County, I don't know. I tell you what, it's been a really good week for me. There's been a lot of good changes that have been happening that are very optimistic. And I think it's because we suffered a couple of losses in Oregon and we suffered a couple of wins, and it was a mixed bag, just mixed enough to really do some good for the county. And I'm going to bring on my guest, because my guest, they're friends of mine. They're activists in the county, and they are people who work very well at basically bringing in the government, railing them in and reeling them in, and catching them like a nice flounder for fillet. That's what they're doing. These are type of people who go out there and they work very hard at tackling the issues. And we hopefully have a chance. And this is what the good news is. We have a chance in Coos County of being able to grow the Republican Party due to an election at the reorganization meeting that happened last night. And I'm going to tell you all about it, but I'm going to bring on my guest. And we're going to talk about what happened last night, because this is very important for Coos County, because we are one of the bigger counties in the region. And I think that we are pivotal in many of the things that are going on in the state, because we have a lot of natural resources that are very valuable, and a lot of different corporations, international corporations, they want to get their hands on our goodies. That's right. The people out there, they want to get their hands on our goodies here in Coos County. And I don't know, I don't want to give up my goodies, and I hope you don't want to give up your goodies either. And so I'm going to bring on my guest, and we're going to talk about the landscape, the political landscape here in Coos County, and how that compares with what's going on in Douglas County. And joining me tonight is Marty Kuhrt. Marty, how you doing?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, that's good. You are fully supplied with the Rolling Rock tonight.
Yeah, I'm drinking them out of bottles tonight, so it's a change of pace.
Oh, well, I hope you sniffed the cap as you took it off. That's the proper way to do that. Oh, there you go. Yes. I'm drinking the Tequila. I don't even know if I can show that. Is that legally allowed? I mean, can you show someone's product? I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, actually, you can. It's called product placement. It's can't imagine that there'd be any problems with it because we are on a podcast. We're not on broadcast, and if we were broadcasting over the air, it'd be like, well, you can't really show somebody's product if they're not actually an advertiser with you, because then it would be like, well, hey, you're getting payola here. I mean, it's like getting payola to do a podcast. Oh, I wish you were getting paid.
I wish I was getting paid. All right, I'm going to bring in Diane. Diane, how you doing?
Hey, I'm great. How you doing, guys?
Oh, doing great. Good to see you.
We're kicking ass.
You.
How are you feeling today?
Hey, I'm great. I'm great. We had fun last night.
Yes, last night was a really good night, and we'll get into that in a minute. I want to bring on, of course, the man, the myth, Todd Vaughn. How you doing, Todd?
Hey, guys. Good. How are you guys? Good to see you all.
Man, it's good to see you. You're starting to look a little more like, Samuel Clemens now. Less Todd Vaughn, more Samuel Clemens. I mean,
I was thinking Grizzly Adams, but okay, we'll go with that.
Is he going to start eating pine cones? Some parts are edible. Nice.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Friday night, I always tell friends of mine who they can't tolerate the cussing and they don't like the drinking so much that tune in on Mondays because it's the PG version of the Rob Taylor Report. It's more educational. And Friday night, I save that for adult time because you got to rant. And if you're going to rant, you're going to drop a few F-bombs. I don't care who you are. I mean, I'm willing Trump sits in the White House every now and then dropping a few F-bombs. Wouldn't you agree, Todd?
I heard one just a while back. I hollered into my wife in the kitchen. I said, he just dropped an F-bomb. My wife goes, that's what I don't like about him. I go, that's what I like about him.
Oh, geez, that is hilarious. We're gonna. I got some really special pictures for you. I don't know if you got to see this. Let me put this on screen here. There was a special visitor to Coos County, and Danessa got to meet this special visitor at the Spruce Bar.
I thought we weren't supposed to talk about that for a couple of days.
No, for a couple of hours, I thought it was.
Oh, well, let me scroll back through the text because I was like,
make sure it should be a couple of hours.
Please do not post it. Please do not post it until next week.
What? You're kidding me?
No, because there's elk hunting involved, so it's not like it's a meet and greet and he's out of here. So he's going to be.
Oh, that must have been a later post because I did ask and I thought she said a couple of hours. That's weird.
Yeah. But yeah, I know, and the problem is I read the response and I'm like going, well, it says both. It says, do not post until next week because we want to keep his safety. Yes, yes, yes. And then it's like, so can we mention it on your show or I don't know. But anyway, let's just say there was a special guest and we can tell you more about it next week.
I hate cliffhangers. I'm gonna, when one of you guys are talking or something, I'm gonna email Danessa and ask her. And,
well, you just text her and see what she says.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and text her now and see if
you text her. You go ahead and do that. I gotta carry on and do a show and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Todd, you have been off the campaign trail, which I bet you are thankful for because the campaign trail is 190-degree, rocky, hilly. You got bulldogs on there. You've got wild goats coming at you, bear. I mean, the campaign trail, they call it the campaign trail for a reason. So how do you feel now that you've been off the campaign trail for a while?
Well, it wasn't quite the Trail of Tears, but it was pretty rough. Actually, I enjoyed meeting a lot of people, making lots of new friends. There were a lot of wonderful memories connected with my little run for Senate. I really learned a lot. I'm a logger, so after the campaign was over, I went back into the woods where I am most comfortable, and logged all summer long. And we had a bunch of fires in Tiller. You guys, not really a bunch, 2 big ones. You guys might have heard about them. So I ended up running a dozer on the first fire and pushing fire lines, and then ended up getting on a dump truck and ran a dump truck for the end of that fire and throughout the second fire that we had up here. And so I just been kind of doing the type of work that I've been doing for most of my life again.
Nice.
That's like, you are Grizzly Adams. I was right. I mean, you just described the life of, some wild backwoodsman, the frontier man. I swear, that's just what. I do have one question for you while you were saying that. I saw that the governor declared an emergency for a certain fire area. Was that your area, or do you know? I didn't check it out.
I don't know if if the governor declared an emergency. We had 2 very fast-moving fires in Tiller, actually up towards Drew, and a town just, you might say, south of Tiller, just a little ways. And these fires did threaten a number of homes and structures. The state was the main leader on both these fires, not the Forest Service. It was not. They were on a lot of private property. They started on private property, so it was a fairly dangerous situation for a number of people, and we actually helped save a few homes with the work that we did. I don't know that the governor would have declared an emergency on these fires. I kind of doubt it, but I didn't really pay attention to that.
Was anyone killed? No deaths?
No. We lost a couple structures, a couple houses. There was no deaths other than, unfortunately, some people's dogs were burned up. And of course, as with all fires, there were a lot of deer and elk and wildlife and things that get burned up in fires. I mean, we saw carcasses laying around when we were working on the fire. A lot of people don't understand fires are extremely destructive to wildlife. So, yeah.
I've seen the fires filmed on the news, and the animals will be running out, actually in flames, out of the forest. It's just a wild sight.
Yeah, what happens is these fires move really rapidly, so they start spotting ahead of themselves. And once fires start spotting ahead of themselves a 1.5 mile, the wildlife just gets confused because it's running away from the main fire, but it's running into fires that are erupting in front of it, and it doesn't know which way to go. So the smoke gets them, and they end up dying. So, yeah.
That is sad. That is
sad. Very sad.
Diane, you were saying something, and I interrupted you so rudely.
I was trying to say thank you to Todd, for fighting these fires. All of our loggers are really our true heroes here in Oregon. People need to really appreciate them a lot more than they do. And I really wish that we would lobby against the Board of Forestry and remove them. To have an unelected board that's creating such a problem for the people of Oregon, it's got to change. We can't have all of our timber not be able to be cut and have all these fires and nobody can breathe all summer. This is not for the public good. It's got to be changed. And, in the meantime, though, our warriors like Todd on the front lines taking care of these problems, I just have to take my hat off and want to pat him on the back and appreciate everything that he does every summer due to the terrible decisions that are being made by the Oregon Board of Forestry. And that is backed by the governor. We need to boil this down and say that these policies in our state are hurting our people in a way that we've got to fight it, people. We can't just stand back and say it's okay every summer if our kids have asthma. It's not okay. Come on, guys. This is all of our children. And it also affects our salmon. This burns up our fish. And, I could go on for half an hour and rant here. And maybe you guys don't want to hear this again because I've talked about it so much. but they passed that HCP for 57 years.
Yeah.
Another spotted owl HCP. And I'm so darn mad about this. I can't stand it. And I'm looking at the fact that our housing costs are going up, and our children aren't going to be able to buy homes, and they're ruining the materials that our children could build their homes with. This is ridiculous, people. Where's our common sense?
And you and I, we testified against that HCP. And Todd, I don't know if you actually went to the meetings or had a chance to go. Did you get to speak at those HCP meetings?
No, I didn't. But this is an issue that I have been involved in. In fact, this is the issue that got me involved in politics clear back in 2015. And my focus has been on the Umpqua National Forest, primarily. When you get involved in politics, it's nice if you limit your focus, because there's so many different tragedies that we can all get involved in. If we're going to pick a cause, just, there's millions of them out there. Pick whichever one you like. But we stayed focused on the Umpqua National Forest. I started a group up here called Responsible Forest Initiatives. And a lot of people don't know that the Umpqua National Forest is over 25% of the landmass of Douglas County. That's a lot of what happens in Douglas County happens on this national forest. And we are managing it. To say we're managing it poorly would be the worst understatement you could probably make. We're not managing it. We're actually using fire that starts naturally. Most of them start naturally. Some of these fires this year were man-caused. In fact, both of them that I was on here in Tiller were man-caused fires. But the fact is, we're not managing the forest with logging, where Douglas County gets 25% of the gross receipts. We're managing the forest with fires, and those fires, once they start, they become the management. And there's no NEPA, because you don't need NEPA. That's, the environmental studies that you do before you do anything in the national forest and on any federal forest. There is no NEPA because there's a fire on the landscape. Once that happens, the Forest Service and the forest supervisor, Alice Carlton, the people that make decisions on the Umpqua National Forest, once there's fire on the landscape, they can do anything they want.
Yeah, I'm from the federal government, and we'll do whatever we want.
We burn areas. We do fight fires aggressively around structures. Like I said, the fires I was on this year were being handled by the state, not the Forest Service. The state does a much better job of putting fires out.
Right.
They don't have the same agenda that the Forest Service has. But anyways, this is an issue that I've been involved in for many, many years. And I can tell you this, our elected officials, our commissioners in Douglas County, who basically are given anywhere from $40,000 to $80,000 a piece every time they run a campaign so they can get reelected as commissioners. They're given whatever it takes to get them reelected by the Douglas timber operators. And I can tell you that the reason why there's not more pressure being put on the federal government to manage these forests is because our commissioners do not put pressure on them.
Damn right.
Now, you start running that through your computer and try to figure out why the men that are placed in office and kept in office by the Douglas timber operators, the biggest mills in Douglas County, why these men do not want to increase the management and are not putting major pressure on the forest supervisors to increase the management on the Umpqua National Forest. Why would our commissioners not be doing that when we get 25% of the gross timber receipts that come from logging on this forest? There's one for you to try to figure out.
This is a deep hole, guys.
Yeah.
We could be on this for a 6-month period of time.
Yeah. Yes.
And I didn't just start this. I just wanted to give you credit for what you do and hope that we can look forward to doing something about this collectively in the future. Not this winter, but at some point we've got to get back on that as a group and make it better.
Diane, I appreciate the recognition that the Communities always give us firefighters. We all really do. But I can tell you that what you really need to know is we all make a fortune. We make over twice the amount, probably 3 times the amount of money we could make logging and doing what we normally should be doing with this equipment and manpower. But because of the policies and because of this huge industrial wildfire complex that they have created, now we are all making boku bucks fighting fires on the federal forests rather than managing them. And that's a big reason why you don't see more pressure from the public to change what we're doing.
It's a Democrats' jobs program. That's
Wow.
what it is. They're creating jobs, one forest burned up at a time.
Welfare logging is what it
I
is.
sick to my stomach now.
Oh, it
So
gets
I
worse,
just-
Diane. I can keep going.
That is a subject we could go on, and it's so nice that I'm sitting with people who have been involved with that issue for quite a while, and not a lot of people are, because it's not sexy or interesting
No,
or
you
anything
know,
that really.
I've been eye to eye with the Board of Forestry, and I've actually said to them, here you are destroying the actual products that we could use during a housing shortage to build homes for our children. We need jobs, and you're closing our mills.
Mm-hmm.
We want to stop fires. There's smoke everywhere. It looks like to me you're on the take. And I
Yeah,
on air to the Board of Forestry. And people
absolutely.
came up to me from the Board of Forestry and thanked me.
Even man hands. Remember man hands?
Yes.
Yes, they got a tranny on the Board of Forestry, and
I've got to say this. Wait, Rob, her opening statement was that it was important for her to have more diversity involved in somehow in this process. And here we are in a room where people are going to lose their families' fortunes. All of their employees aren't going to be able to feed their children. And instead of even being on target, she made it about something that was so off subject. I was taken back because it was so inappropriate. It's appropriate to include everyone in everything, fine. But that's not the point of the meeting. The point of the meeting was so heartbreaking. And so many people were the sheriffs were standing up. They lost the sheriff's department over the decision to stop the 57% of the logging. And the sheriffs were saying, what are we going to do when people are raped and we can't investigate? What about murders and we can't investigate? And her inclusion statement at that particular meeting was so out of line and so inappropriate.
Yeah. And to be worried about DEI, once again, they're
when your hearts are absolutely breaking, make that the top concern. It is include everybody, that's fine, but everybody's going to be poor. And everybody's going to have problems in this state due to crime because of the choices that have been made by the Board of Forestry.
So before we go any further into this subject, Marty, we're going to show those pictures from Spruce Street Grill from tonight, and this is really cool. Did you recognize this guy right off the bat when you saw him?
Oh yeah, I did. I looked at it and I went, hey, that's one recognizable guy. And I thought, what's Danessa doing out in like Mar-a-Lago or something? And then she said, oh, this is at Spruce Street. And I'm like going, okay, there's a disjoint here. I mean, what is this guy doing at that place?
Isn't Danessa the luckiest woman ever? She's like always just walking right into it. It's like, how do you do it, Danessa? You seem to meet just these fabulous people and just, I don't know. She's just always impressed me that way. And here she is once again walking right into, oh, hey, it's Donald Trump Jr.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he heard that she got nominated to be the state representative for Coos County.
She got delegate. She's a voting member.
Yeah, I didn't remember the exact title, but I'm like, oh well, She just got elected yesterday, and man, look at the people she's bringing into the after party.
Things are gonna
Woo!
change. The tide has turned in Coos County. Sorry, guys.
Oh yeah, that just cracks me up. It's like you said, you just got elected. How were you able to get into this big circle
With
of
the
people?
Already. Well, there you go, Danessa.
I hope she mentioned the turbines immediately. You know, it was
I
like,
hope she did.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it,
turbines, please.
you know, talk about the gravitas Danessa has. I mean, it's not like she got elected governor or senator. No, I mean, and she just gets elected to this Coos County thing, and it's like, boom, and here you go, celebrity status. Woohoo, baby.
you know, I would have ran for office if I knew you were going to be able to hang out with one of the Trumps. I mean, you know, oh geez, this is just absolutely cool. And I'm not going to say what he's doing here in town, but yeah, that was just cool that she sent the pictures, and we'll get her story on that a week from now, because it's got to be entertaining how this happened down at Spruce Street Grill here in little old Coos County. So yeah, what do you guys think of that? I don't know. Did you even know about this, Todd? Did she send that to you?
Well, it's hard to hear Todd when he's muted, so
Yeah,
I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and say, wow, it put Myrtle Point on the map. Zowie.
You're muted.
Wow.
Oh, well, he's not now.
I just unmuted.
Zowie.
Yeah, I never heard anything from Danessa about that, but you know, Danessa and I campaigned together quite a bit on my my run for Senate in the primary, and I can't really imagine anything that couldn't happen beautiful to Danessa, because she's just that kind of wonderful person. You know, that's all I can say.
That is cool. She's been there when I needed her as well. That's what a good friend is. And in the last couple of years, you really find out who your friends are, because they're the ones who hang with you when time gets shitty, you know, and things just aren't going your way. And no matter how shitty it is, we just keep encouraging each other to move forward. That's, you know, that was a beautiful thing, that campaign. It's people don't know how much time a group can put in on a campaign, and it's something that you never forget. That's for damn sure. You'll never forget that, Todd.
No way.
So we went to the Coos County Republican organizing meeting last night, and it was one of those meetings where they have to pick new officers for their executive board. The executive board is part of the central committee, which is made up of the precinct committee people, and those PCPs, those are the ones that are the base of the party that, you know, picks these representatives, and it happens every 2 years. And so last night was very interesting, because we didn't really know that this was going on until about Diane, 4 or 5 days ago.
Well, I got the letter. I'm one of the lucky people that actually got it.
You did.
And then I shared it with everyone, and it seemed like everyone I sent it to didn't receive a notification about the meeting, including Danessa. She didn't get any notification. And, you know, Rod said he emailed it, but according to the rules for the county, he's supposed to mail it. So, you know, but that's neither here nor there, but, you know, just kind of pointing fingers at this point.
So,
yeah, and Samantha was talking about when they had their Republican meeting in Douglas County, they did the exact same thing, where like a whole bunch of people just didn't get notified for some amazing reason. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, it's like, are they actively going out of their way to try to make people go, you know what? I'd like to be a Republican, but I don't want to be associated with them.
And so that's wherein lies the problem. And I'll get into the difference between the different factions, and I'll get into the difference between the ideology or the policies. And But first off, I want to tell the story of what happened last night. So what happened is that the chair of the Republican Party sent out a letter to Danessa, or not to Danessa, to some of the PCPs, and some of the PCPs didn't seem to receive the letters, but he did say at the meeting that he had sent an email to all the people that he should have sent the emails to, and he says he can back it up by showing those emails being sent out. I don't know what's true or not. It doesn't really matter because I'm tired of arguing over the small stuff. So we get into the election. We have the chair, the vice chair, the secretary of the party, the treasurer, the delegates, and the 3 alternate delegates. And so Danessa ran for the chair, and as well did Mike Brainerd, who was the vice chair. They all were, all the former positions came out in the letter and said that they weren't going to rerun for their positions. And Michael Brainerd said he's going to leave the vice chair and run for the chair in the letter that Rod Taylor sent out. So we went ahead and saw what was going on. Danessa ran for the chair position, and unfortunately she didn't win. I think she did a much better job of presenting herself. She looked much more professional. She sounded much more professional, and her experience with business and politics just blew away anything that Brainerd had to offer. And the fact that the party has dwindled over the last 2 years and has been completely ineffectual and feckless, just absolutely not going anywhere, not bringing in new members, not getting the donations they used to. And this is happening in a time when we have a county that just voted almost 60% for Donald J. Trump. So she didn't win, and so a weird thing happened. Danessa demanded, she made a point of order and demanded that they read the rules for the elections. And one of the rules, and this is a weird rule, you can't vote unless you're a PCP. However, you could be nominated if you're just a Republican. And so that when that was read by Danessa, a gentleman by the name of Chris Castleman, I don't know if you folks know him. He's the one who ran for county commissioner here in Coos County in the last election. Well, he came up to me and he said, I want to run for vice chair. And I said, well, you should go talk to Carol Yardley. And he goes, great idea. I want to run for this position. And he goes up there and he asked her, and Danessa came over to talk to Carol. And Danessa said, sure, I'll nominate you. And Carol seconded it. And so Chris ended up running against another member of the party who has been part of the faction on the other side of the faction that I'm in. And her name is Julie Theis. And she's a very nice lady. And so don't think that when we label each other into factions, that we actually hate each other all the time. There are just different levels of experiences that you have with people as individuals, even though they're in a certain faction. So not everyone is equal in the faction. That's why I believe in individuality. But Julie Theis was running for vice chair, and Chris Castleman gets up there after Julie spoke, and he said this speech, which wasn't a speech, it was a story. And it was a story about him coming to Oregon and how he fell in love with the area. And by the time he was done with his speech, the little old ladies in front were almost in tears. I mean, it was just a really awesome speech. It was one of those where you could see people actually reacting to it. And so they voted for this guy to be vice chair of the Republican Party. And he's only been to 3 meetings. So doesn't that tell you how disconjointed the Republican Party is when some guy can walk in, has only been to 3 meetings, and becomes vice chair? What do you think of that there, Todd?
Oh, I got a story I'll tell you right now about that. So
Sure.
I actually have a connection to your story. So when I spoke down there, I forget what it was. I spoke over on the coast when I was running for the Senate seat, and Chris was running for something. I can't remember what it was, but he was talking about the sheriff's department and stuff. Do you remember that meeting? Right?
I do. You gave a great speech.
It was in a church.
Yeah, and you gave a speech about the mushroom book, and then related it to the platform. And Chris just last week said he thought that was the best speech he had heard because he loved how you told a story. And then sure as shit, at this meeting, Chris does the exact same thing where he tells a story that turns into this moral homily at the end that you go, oh, that's so wise and really just, great the way you played that out. And I wasn't even expecting it because I thought, oh, here he's telling the story. Just the way you started with the mushrooms. Where the hell are these people going? Where mushrooms? Why is this guy talking about mushrooms? And then at the end of it, you're like, that was brilliant. Didn't you think that was brilliant? Yes. And so thank you very much for that. You inspired a young man to do the same thing. So
he came up and told me afterwards, he goes, I'm not really, very good at this politics stuff. And I'm like, I'm not either. I'm just a logger from Tiller. And he goes, but I love that you told a story tonight. He goes, I think I'm going to kind of wind that into what I do in the future. I says, well, people love stories. And then now I hear you tell this story about him, and I know it all connects up. Isn't that crazy how life is like that?
That is wild. That was wild because it was just like that was sewn together because we weren't expecting to only get one seat on the board, but Chris won vice chair and Danessa, she won the state delegate, which is the perfect position for Danessa. I think and she gets to sit on the executive board. So we got 2 out of the 5-man slate that sits on the executive board. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I thought that was great. And I love the fact that, it dovetails into, a chance meeting with Todd Vaughn and listening to a story and saying, you know what, that was so effective. I'm going to do that as well. And, every time, I've always had this discussion with people who kind of get down and out and they say, yeah, we've been fighting for so long. We don't seem to be making any headway. And it's like, why do you keep trying? And I'm like you never know when you're going to affect one person who's going to affect another person who's going to affect a group of people. I mean, and I used to tell Ron Wiggins when he was like, a little bit down about our whole ballot image lawsuit stuff. And I'm like you never know. This might be that one snowflake that starts an avalanche. It's like a bunch of snow piles up and we keep getting all these little pieces of information and all these little pieces of we're making some progress, but not very much. And then the next thing you know, boom, avalanche, and there it goes. And so, and props to Todd. I mean, I really loved working on Todd's campaign. I really loved doing the commercials for him. It was just we were going up, it was David and Goliath, and he certainly had the sling and he certainly had the rock, but unfortunately, DBS had the lawfare, so it was a little more than we could handle. But I love the fact that, it's just that, even in defeat, he prompted a victory, and that's the why I keep doing this. I have a lot of people go, you've been beating on this for so long, and it doesn't seem like you're making much difference. And I'm going, I can never tell what kind of difference I'm making, but I'm going to keep trying, because if I quit, how many other people are going to quit? Because they said, well, crap, I was only in this because Marty was doing it. And if he quits, then why am I doing it? I'm like, nah, I'm not going to be that guy.
I love you, Marty. I appreciate the spirit.
Things that our group has had an effect on in Southern Oregon. I mean, look at what we've done. We just recently we scored. I mean, come on, 79% on the ballot in Curry County. That's amazing. Okay, that is a wonderful situation.
And we did the same in Curry County. I mean, it's like Curry County, it's like almost 80% of the people, 95% of the people that picked up a ballot and turned one in voted on the wind turbine measure, and 80% of them said, screw you turbines. And we didn't get the same turnout in Coos County, but then again, we didn't get into the voters pamphlet either. And well, that's another completely different rant.
That's a whole different rant.
That's a whole different rant. But
Time for that one either.
yeah, but we still won 60-40. So I'm like, a win's a win, whether we win by 2 points or we win by 20 points. I'm liking the fact that we fought tooth and nail to get that thing on the ballot. We failed in May, we got it in November, and we got a lot of people involved going, you know what? I don't like wind turbines either. And I'm like, cool.
Look at our team.
I know.
I mean, have we got the best team in the world? We do. We are so lucky just to have the associates that have come forth to help us and be a part of it and come out and play with us in the rain on the 101.
Yeah,
I mean,
on a Saturday, standing in the middle of the rain and getting cars splashing on you, getting to talk to the crazies out in the street other than yourself. But that was, you get 6, 10, 12 people out there. It's really cool. It's really cool, and you don't look like the only single nut on the street with the sign that says "Stop the windmills, save the whales." That's
Yeah, I mean, and it's like when we were doing the same thing, it's just like, we'd have like 5, 10 people, and next time we'd have 10, 15 people, and it'd be like, and then we would just turn it into a fun time. We'd be marching around, and we'd be talking to each other and changing corners so we could swap stories and just, turn basically what was going to be a 3 or 4 hours standing around in the sun, which could have been a miserable experience, into like a lot of fun, where it's like, it's great when we get 80-90% of the people going by giving us thumbs up or beeping at us and waving kindly as opposed to waving a middle finger, and it's just like, it's like winning through attrition. We just keep adding one by one by one. Pretty soon we're like the big red tide, that happened in the November election. I'm like, yay.
just didn't happen here so much.
That's right.
Well, we're always behind the times, so it'll catch up to us eventually.
It will catch up. Okay, I'm glad that is a positive attitude. I hope it does catch up. Just after what happened at the local party, and part of that, the reason that Chris Castleman won is I talked to a gentleman by the name of Dallas Pentonbrink, and Dallas is on the North Bend School District. He's a really nice guy. I've known him for a while. I known him from many different times that we've met for events and different meetings for the counties. And I believe he's, like I said, on the school board. And so he's someone who I have a great trust in. And I walked up to him during the meeting and I said, the best way that you can get this party together is to split the slate. And how I was saying they were running as 5 people together, where they all 5 of them endorse each other so that they can get the next position. And it's hard to run against a slate when you have a majority of their faction at this event. Luckily, we had a mix, and part of the mix was all the new people that were there, and people and precinct captains who hadn't been at meetings for a while. And so there was a nice mix of people. And that's why Janessa lost and Chris won, was because people didn't really know Chris and they wanted some fresh blood into the executive board, is what I believe. And when I told Dallas that he needs to split the slate, he had talked to a couple of people, and you're not going to believe this. Rod Schilling, the guy who I've been kind of feuding with because he's been the chair of the Coos County Republicans, and I think he has failed to do his job by upholding or making the politicians uphold to their oath of office, and he hasn't been keeping them held to the office or to the county's platform. And because he hasn't been keeping them held to those things, I've been feuding with Rod Schilling, and Rod, he had voted for Chris Castleman to help split the board or the slate as well, against Julie Thies. And I thought that was really interesting. And I asked him because I wanted to verify that today. And he said, yeah, that's, I definitely voted for, or I forget exactly how he said it, but yeah, he said that he voted for Chris Castleman because he wanted to do what was right for the party. And I thought that was pretty big of Rod Schilling. And then he said something really interesting. He said, I thought that Chris Castleman would have made a better county commissioner than Bob Main. And that was really cool because, you know, we just lost Bob Main and he was a lousy campaigner, and Chris is young and energetic and he has a lot of good ideas. And I think he's going to take the party in a new direction. And we need to go to those meetings, and we need to start helping reorganize the Republican Party to become a stronger animal, because we need a functioning party here in Coos County to go out and get candidates to run for office and to face the issues that you, Marty, you, Diane, all of us have been facing, that windmill problem that we've been having with the turbines being forced upon us. We need a Republican Party that can fight against this. And if we don't get a Republican Party, we are going to lose on a lot of these issues because we don't have that support. So that's why we kind of all have a little bit of responsibility if we want to carry on. We've done something they can't do in Douglas County, and I'm going to let Todd speak on this because we have gotten piece of the board in the Coos County Republican Party, and that way we are going to have a say now. And I'll let you speak, Marty, because you look like you want to talk.
Oh, well, I unmuted my microphone so you didn't have to listen to my. Actually, I was playing the show in full screen, which made my video card go hyper, spastic and turn on every fan known to man. So I had to. Yeah, and basically I had to turn off the microphone. But one of the things that I also wanted to address is that, one, getting the Republican Party back to where most people can agree that this is a functioning and useful Republican Party. But we also need to start looking at the fact that NAVs outnumber R's and D's in this county. And I think, one, there's a lot of NAVs because they don't know they're NAVs because the DMV changed them when they updated their driver's license or got a new license plate or whatever. But, they also we need to hit the NAVs and go, are you a NAV on purpose? If you're a NAV because you think the R's suck in Coos County, well, let me tell you, we're sucking less. Come back into the fold. Let's try to make the Republican Party a big thing in Coos County again.
I think we can do that.
But now on to Todd Vaughn, talking about the dysfunctional Republican Party in Douglas County, where, according to David Brock Smith campaign flyers, you were thrown out of the Republican Party, which is like, well, that's not correct. You were actually, thrown out of management, but you weren't thrown out of the party. They're just like, no, we're actually gonna update your voter registration and make you a NAV now, or maybe even make you a commie, because you're certainly not the kind of Republican we want. And over to Todd.
Actually, I am the kind of Republican you want, because I am MAGA. So yeah, I am the kind of Republican you want. It's just our problem. What happened with us and our America First movement and our taking over the board 2 years ago and then being recalled, almost a year ago now. It's not quite, but there you go. That's right. What happened really was kind of unfortunate. In a way, we didn't have the energy in the Republican base in Douglas County that we needed to really go full-throated America First, Donald Trump all the way. We did, myself and Michaela Hammerson did manage to help Douglas County become the first county to endorse Donald Trump, like way ahead of everybody else. And at that point in time, I actually, and it was unanimous amongst the Central Committee to endorse him, even though our chair and other members of our executive board did not want us to take that vote to endorse Donald Trump. All I can tell you guys, to put it in a nutshell, as a lesson, as a learning experience, we might have moved too fast. They said we were divisive. We were not divisive, but we openly acknowledged the division that exists in the Republican Party, both in Douglas County and on a national level. This division is very real. We're seeing it playing out right now with Trump's cabinet. You're gonna continue to see it. We have establishment Republicans and we have America First Republicans in this nation and in this county, our county. We have both types, and these types cannot function together. They can for a little while. You'll notice how a bunch of people, they fell in love with Donald Trump when he was winning again, just like they did the first time. But these people are not populists. They are not populists. Donald Trump is a populist. He believes in power to the people. These people, the establishment, are not populists. They want to retain power, and they are fixated with retaining power. Power and money, that's what the establishment is into. And we actually got blown out by that desire for power in Douglas County. The commissioners came in, basically took over the Republican Party. And right now in Douglas County, the big donors, the political class, and what's left of the board, the people that stayed and were swayed by those people, are actually running our party. We're not going to be putting up America First candidates. We're going to be putting up David Brock Smiths. Yeah. These guys control the whole program now, and they only allow certain types of people to come into their club. And that is the Republican Party of Douglas County right now.
Well, they want to make sure that their money is well spent. I mean, the amount of money that was pumped into DBS, and then then he like divvied it out to all the other people that were playing along with the "we are the political class." I mean, it was like, okay, now Court Boyce gets some money, and now Virgil Osborne gets some money, and it's like, so long as you keep backing the guy that's getting all this money, then, well, we have a problem. I mean, you're not America First. You're like, give me my money first. And that's not what's going to get it done for those of us who actually think that, golly, I think representatives ought to represent us and not like how much can be put into their bank account.
It's corrupt. There's a name for it. It's called corruption.
Corruption, absolutely. Let me ask you something.
Can I say one thing first?
Go for it, Diane.
Don't modify the way that we are looking at things within the Republican Party to be more moderate. I don't want to be a member of the radical Republican Party, guys. I don't want to be a member of it. I want to be a part of the moderate Republicans. I want to do things that are common sense. People are afraid of the stigmas that that are promoted behind the words. I think we need to get away from we're this, we're that. I'm done. Okay, I'm done with being a hardline this or hardline that. I won't do it anymore. I won't say I'm American First. I won't say I'm MAGA. I won't say those words because people have been in the press making them negative. I won't do it anymore. I won't. I want to be more moderate, and I want to build a party of people that are Americans. It doesn't have to be American First. We've got to change our language here a little bit. And that's all there is to it. And the reason I'm talking about this is because during the time that we've worked in the wind turbine project, it's been a purple issue. And we've been able to work with both Democrats and Republicans. This is what we have to do in our country. We have to get to the point where we're working with both of us, and we can't go on.
Diane, I got to jump in here. That's where the party is disenfranchised. You've got a group of people on one side who are more purist. They want the Republicans to be as far to the right, meaning as less government as possible type Republicans, like Barry Goldwater. Okay, that's the kind of Republicans that a lot of people would like. and they're the purist. And then you've got the other part of the Republican Party who are the pragmatists. They think it's pragmatic that they just get anyone in from any ideology and throw them at the wall as long as they have an R after their name. And that's my problem with the pragmatics, is that you get people like David Brock Smith who don't have any integrity. Their policies are pushing the same policies that the Democrats are pushing. They're compromising too much out of our values. I couldn't go any more moderate. I have to go for less government. Less government is the only way that we're going to fix this problem, because otherwise you're going to continue to flow into deficits that lead to debt, that lead to nothing but slavery. That's what debt's all about. And this type of moderation is compromise. Are you really serious about this?
Type of compromise. I am all about freedom. And when I say freedom, it's that there has to be within the Republican Party a little bit of give. You cannot now take abortion after the genie has come out of the bottle and force it down and say you can't have abortions anymore. This is something that puts the youth away from the Republican Party. It's away from having them join. You can be personally against abortion, absolutely, and I don't think government has any place in our private life. I don't think anyone has the right to tell anybody else whether or not they should have one. And at this point in time, if the Republican Party doesn't stand down on that issue, we will never grow, because it's serious.
I think Todd Vaughn would completely disagree with you. I think, Todd Vaughn, aren't you someone who believes in an absolute on abortion?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I've had a number of discussions because of running for Senate. And I used to take a stand that we needed to move in the direction of a heartbeat law first in Oregon, and then from that use that as a stepping stone and go all the way with it, other than, and I've had arguments with people, believe me, Diane, this issue, I've been in some hot ones on it personally. But I can say that after talking to a number of people and doing some praying about this, I've come to the personal conclusion that we should just hold the line and let the cards fall where they may. I think we're killing babies, no matter how you look at it. I can't imagine how that could ever be right.
Let Marty jump in there. Marty, go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I was going to use what Diane said as a jumping off point, because what we found out when we were doing the wind turbine stuff is that there are issues where we can make it a purple issue, where it's not a Republican thing, it's not a Democrat thing. I mean, it's sort of a, the whole idea is that we want to come together by saying, okay, we're America First or we're MAGA. It's sort of like putting a label on somebody and saying, well, what we can do is we can get governance back to the local level where you're in charge of what's going on in your county, in your city, in your state. And, and it's like, it doesn't have to be a big R or a big D. Everybody can work to a compromise. And the thing about compromises is, if you come to a really good compromise, pretty much nobody's going to be happy about it. But the whole idea is you all come together on a compromise. Everybody didn't want, most people didn't want wind turbines. I didn't think I ran into a number of people that are going, oh, I want wind turbines, and if I could, I'd have one in my backyard. And I'm going, you know what? There's nothing keeping you from having a wind turbine in your backyard. Go right ahead. But, I mean, the whole point is that, as using Diane's commentary as a jumping off point, we can come up with a way to find a middle ground where we can all agree, you know what, there's too much government oversight on everything, and that's what we need to get rid of. And that's kind of what we're working on. And, there are times when, of course, hey, check out the hat I'm wearing. I will proudly say, I'm a red hat wearing kind of guy. And then there are other times when I'm like I go into a situation where I'm going, oh, that's just going to draw too much flack. and I'm going to go in as a neutral and then see if I can figure out a way to come to a consensus. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if you're going into a bull ring and you're waving a big red flag, guess what? The bull's going to charge you. So
It's a very good point, and I'll tell you what, the thing that I look at here is that I agree with what the Supreme Court said, that abortion is not in the Constitution, and we should allow that law to go to the states. And then people who want to get abortions, like in Oregon, they can fly here, get an abortion, and on the same day have their weenie cut off and or put a weenie on, and a woman can become a man after having the baby. And it's a wonderful place because we, the taxpayers, pay for it, of course. And, I'm one of those who I think that I agree with with what they said about the United States, that we are a test tube, a little petri dish of 50 different states where we get to try out all different things, and one of them should be abortion. And I think some states should have the right, if they believe so, to outlaw it. And I think some states should be able to have it if they want to have it. I personally think there are legitimate reasons why women might want to have abortions, and I think there should be strict regulations on it. So I'm not an absolutist on abortions either. I think that there are some women who, if they had a baby, it could be the worst thing for them, and they just may not believe that they want to give it up for adoption. I think there are reasons why a woman might want to have an abortion. And so on that issue, I do fall on the side of Diane some bit, but I don't think abortion should be used as birth control either. So, Todd, I want to get a response from you, because I did think that was interesting, that you are someone who is on that side of the aisle, which I totally respect, because I respect your opinion, and I do respect the right that the Declaration of Independence is right to life, right?
That's right. I think that what I would say about the concept of MAGA and about America First, Diane, what I would say is this: the same thing Trump says, the same thing he said to Biden: make America great again. What can be wrong with that? What can be wrong with make America great again? Why wouldn't all of us, NAVs, Democrat, why wouldn't all of us want to make America great again? And by the way, I think Trump's policies are in line with the concept of make America great again. It's the American citizens that the Constitution is speaking to and is here to defend and serve. That's what our government should be doing. It should be along the same lines as the Constitution. As far as this very difficult issue of abortion, I think Donald Trump and the changes that his Supreme Court justices made were directly in line with what they should have been. Send it back to the states. I think that you got to stay there. I don't like to get involved in this discussion. It always goes south, but I can say that for me personally, I have a right to my conclusions, just as everybody else does. And after much consideration and an actual change, a serious change for me, I came to the conclusion that killing babies just can't ever be right.
And you know what? Most of the people online are agreeing with you, Todd. Everyone online, you've got Samantha Frost, you got REJ, and you've got
my
Michaela,
point never,
and they all agree with you. But go ahead, Diane. I'm sorry.
My point was never whether or not killing babies was wrong. My point was the whole concept of the Republican Party making that a front-running issue is not ever going to allow the Republican Party to bring youth to the party. So unless you revive the status slightly so that you can accommodate the feelings of others, which I think is desperately required, because your feelings on it are up to you. My feelings on it are up to me, and the government should never come into it. And you should not be stopped. I should not be stopped. It's it's a private issue. It's nothing to do with it. It's a private issue.
I've always kind of wondered if this is one of those issues that is a great distraction issue, because essentially what's happening here is Diane, you say, oh, the Republicans are behind stopping abortion, and I don't think I've ever run into one Republican. I've run into a lot of Republicans that think, oh, that's the major issue that I really have to do. But every time, like when Roe v. Wade got struck down, and they said it's got to send it back to the states because it's a state right issue, it's not a national issue, and it's like, well, every time something like that happens, like every single mainstream media and every single Democrat is like going, the Republicans are taking away women's rights for reproduction, blah, 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 blah. And then they fan the flames, and then everybody gets involved, and everybody has an opinion, and everybody gets pissed off. And I'm like going, by the way, I'm kind of with what Todd Vaughn was saying. What is wrong with saying make America great again? Let's concentrate on making America great again. Let's be energy independent. Let's close our borders. Let's get rid of illegal aliens. Let's take an idea that maybe letting people take drugs with no repercussions is a bad idea. We don't necessarily have to throw them in jail, but maybe we could come up with some way of doing drug rehab, alcohol rehab. There's got to be, with everybody that has, super problems with what gender am I, I'm like going, maybe we need more mental health people. Let's start hiring people to do more mental health to figure out XX or XY. Pretty easy to figure out. You can have any sex change operation you want. You can sew on a penis if you're a woman, or you can take it off if you were a man, but your chromosomes are still going to be XX or XY, and all you're doing is you're putting lipstick on a pig. So,
but we all agree on that issue.
The pigs with lipstick look really good? All right.
Sorry to interrupt you, Marty. But
no, go right ahead.
In Coos Bay, at the fair last year, not this last year, but the year before that, actually had a booth that was anti-abortion. So if you're going to do something like that at this juncture, and you're going to represent a party, you have to be able to be a little bit more moderate in order to grow.
Yeah, don't pick the flaming issues. Pick something that's,
I have 14 people in a church, and that's all you get for membership.
Well, and at the Democratic National Convention, didn't they have like a sex change booth and a free abortion clinic outside the DNC? It's like, why do we have this?
You guys, if I may say so, I think what's happening in Oregon right now, and of course for us in Douglas County, is absolutely horrible. Like, we are in one of the worst places in the nation to be a Republican, okay? And when you're in a deep blue state like this, it just has effects that we don't even talk about. We could spend the next half hour talking about hidden aspects of being a Republican in Oregon and how that affects our party, how that affects the type of candidates that we're putting forth that nobody's even talking about. It's not even part of the discussion, and it really ought to be, because what's happening in this state is different than what's happening across the nation. Obviously, from this last election that we just saw, where Trump won 5,000 or 5 million or 6 million above the Democrats on the popular vote. That's astronomical. It's astronomical what just happened. So what I would say is, what we should do is say, Donald Trump has a wonderful group of policies that I personally can't find anything wrong with any of them. And I've analyzed his policies very carefully. We have a president in the that says he's a Republican, claims to be part of our party, which is amazing because he's a favorite to the Republican Party, is a true populist, believes in the Constitution, and has a set of policies that is almost perfect. Even the way he deals with abortions is almost perfect. And I think we ought to just celebrate that and realize that in Douglas County, in our case, and in Oregon, we are F, okay? We got to
Yeah.
figure this out. But Donald Trump is the light shining in here also.
Yeah, I mean, Douglas County is leading the pack in. Yeah, you have a lot of Republicans, but man, you're bend over no grease, and it's like Coos County, same thing, but not to the same level, but it's pretty darn close. And I'm just like going, why? If you look at a county by county and precinct by precinct breakdown of who voted for what, Oregon is like wholly red, except for Portland, Eugene, Corvallis, Salem, and a couple of communities on the coast where all the people that used to be in Portland, Eugene, and Salem are now retiring. But other than that, or maybe a little bit of Coos Bay, but I mean, other than that, it's a huge wash of red. And it's like, and we're apologizing for being part of that huge wash of red. I mean, it's sort of like apologizing for being white. And last time I checked, I'm not doing that. I mean, and it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like a DEI thing, where it's like, or a DEI or an LBGTQ, NSPQRST, NPR, liberal radio, whatever thing, where it's like, if you don't say the exact words and do if you get somebody's gender wrong, you are like the worst person ever. And I'm like going, no, a really bad person is somebody that stabs somebody and steals their money or kills their children. A bad person is not somebody that says, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you were a woman. Yeah, that's not a bad person.
So we really went into the weeds. I wasn't expecting to cover the abortion issue on this show. To be honest with you, that one caught me by surprise, but everyone was loving it on the thread, so I went with it. Todd, I want to get back to the Republican Party and the state of things today. Isn't it true that you are on the transportation board?
Yes, it is. I recently became a board member for Umpqua Public Transportation District. And I can tell you that the district was in serious trouble. I mean, really, it was headed for definitely a financial disaster. We were actually already there. We were in a financial disaster. And thanks to, I would attribute a huge amount of credit to what is now becoming an amazing turnaround. We're in the very first stages of it, but I would give Michaela Hammerson a big shout out. When we all became members of the board a couple years ago, in the next election, a number of us on the board decided to run for local elected positions. I ended up running for a school board position in Days Creek, Oregon, Days Creek Charter School. Steve Hammerson ran for Roseburg High School. Michaela and Doug Mendenhall ran for positions on the Umpqua Public Transportation Board. A number of others of us committed our time and energies to elected positions. But Michaela got on that board, and Doug Mendenhall also, he was part of our group. He wasn't on the executive board with us. But those guys got in the middle of something that is probably still pretty confusing in ways. We're trying to figure it out exactly what happened. Was UPTD sabotaged purposely for reasons that we can guess what they might have been? Of course, it always has something to do with money and power. So, but the main point is that Michaela ended up, people started dropping off everybody quit. They were non-compliant in so many ways that they were going to lose their financing. The thing was about ready to go TU. Okay, so Michaela she didn't go in there to become the chair. She went in there just as an elected board member.
Yeah. And
everybody quit. And she becomes the chair of the board. And then she, with Ben Edel, who you guys are all also hopefully friends with, I love him dearly. He's a businessman. He's a really great CEO type of guy, very inventive, very creative, just great graphic guy. He's got so many good messaging This guy's just talented. He reminds me of Elon Musk. He's just a young guy with a lot of talent. He helped me with my campaign a lot. And he and Michaela began to put together a program to pull us out of this hole. And we began to put members on the board. I got on the board. A number of us from the 6 that got thrown off of the executive board became board members for the UPTD. And what people don't really seem to understand in the Republican Party that just threw us off their board is we are true patriots. We are people who love other people and actually want to serve. We're public servants in our hearts. Michaela turned this thing around and is turning it around with the help of a really good quality board now. Everybody that was there when I came, they've been dropping out. All of the people that were not going along with this change of direction that included Ben Edel as the general manager have all dropped off. They had no faith that we could turn this thing around. They have no idea the level of talent and diversity of thought that is now on this board. And we are putting together something that I think is going to be absolutely wonderful. And my hat is off to Michaela Hammerson. She is the one that really turned this thing around.
So right now you're in the process of trying to, isn't there some, you guys are expecting to get a lot more funding in the future. I forget, Michaela has described it to me, but I think you were supposed to get some more funding in the future, and that's what you were preparing for. How far down the road have you got in that process of trying to get that grant? I think it's a federal grant.
Well, what happened to the district is we became non-compliant in so many issues. You got to realize this is government. This is the whole thing with government and the bureaucracy involved. If you haven't been in it, if you've never been in it, it just wears you out. But the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of compliance issues on a public transportation district like this. So we have to comply with everything. We got to dot our I's, cross our T's. The people that were running the show were not doing that. So we were non-compliant in so many different areas. We weren't. The people that were there before us were. We were non-compliant in so many issues that we were about ready to lose all of our grants. They were asking for money back that we had already been given, right? I mean,
wow,
this thing
that's
was
not good. That's not good when you're getting a grant.
It was a nightmare, okay? And that's why everybody quit. It's like, hey, man, it's like rats jumping off the sinking ship. So
well, of course.
We have come in there as true public servants. I don't care what anybody says. That's exactly what we are. And we're turning this thing around. And it's really a wonderful thing. I didn't want to get on another board. I'm already on a school board. But they wanted me to help. I have my own sort of contribution that I can make to something. It's a little bit unique. I'm a unique thinker. And they wanted a little, the diversity that I bring to a board on this board. And it's the same thing has happened with another number of people. We just brought on Greg Kennerly, who ran for sheriff here recently in one of our elections. I got to know Greg a little bit then. This guy's great. He's a police officer for the tribe. This guy is connected in the community. He's a wonderful person. He's our new board member. Nice. We've got a wonderful board, and I can tell you guys, pay attention to this. You're going to get to see something good happen.
That's great. That's good to hear. And it's good that you're on the board. Diane, you look like you're dying to say something.
Michaela is magnificent. I'll tell you what, I have more respect for Michaela Hammerson than most people on this earth. She's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. She has more potential. She can do anything she wants to do. Quick-witted, and boy, they lose some.
Yeah, I mean, she is a force of nature. I mean, Michaela and Danessa are both like forces of nature that is like, they've got a glow from within, and they're like going, follow me because I know where I'm going, and I'm going to be running some people over. And are you going to help me push them down? And I'm like going, yes, I will. Let's go.
I was blown away when I met the group over in Douglas County, and it was that first meeting we had at, I think it was, the bar was called North 40 in downtown Roseburg. We met over there at that bar, and I got to speak to several of the PCPs and other people involved in the Republican Party. And me and Diane got to tell our story about what happened to us. And you guys were just absolutely so cool, because you were just the same type of rebels that we were on our side of the county. And here's the thing, Todd. Could there be something above, a couple of levels above in the party that is actually causing this division in the party itself that maybe we can't see? That's something, that there is something out there that is manipulating us as a party, where we turn into these factions, we start fighting against each other when we should be moving forward as an organization with some type of cohesiveness. Why? I ask that all the time. Is there something manipulating us from above that actually makes us fight internally, so that we are stalled down and mired? And this is what Art Robinson told me, that's what they do. They, you get involved with the party politics, and you don't have time to face the issues. You don't have time to get the candidates. All you're doing is getting mired down with the infighting and the bullshit that's happening. And I don't know, it's just, maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, but do you think that there's something somewhere that maybe we can't see? Put our finger on it. What do you think? I'll let you go first, Todd, but Marty, I want to hear from you next.
Oh, there's definitely something happening here. First of all, people are there's something called the depravity of man. I know not all you guys are Bible readers. I happen to be, but there's something that is called the depravity of man. And John Adams talked about it. A lot of our founding fathers understood it very well. In fact, that is why you have the division of government the way you are, and checks and balances, because our founding fathers were very aware that men in general are corrupt. They're corruptible, or they are already corrupt. So they knew that, and they knew that there would be a lust for power, and there would be a lust for money, and it's just that they were Christian. Most of them were Christians. They were Bible students of the Bible, and they happen to be realists where human beings are concerned. Okay, it's very simple. So what we got going on in Oregon here is a product of something that's going on globally. There's a global thing happening. There's a group of corrupt people that are trying to take over the world. I'm not going to go into it. If you guys don't understand, if you haven't been looking into what the UN is doing, if you haven't been looking at what these globalists are doing and what they're up to, then you need to do some homework. But the fact that it's why they're burning our forest. There you go. There's one to figure out.
Connect the dots for me. This is what's the couple of levels up. You're talking about the globalists who are at a much farther. They're 30,000 feet. I want to know what's 3,000 feet. What's the first thing directly affected?
They come right down into every different area of government that you guys are looking at. They come down into what Donald Trump is dealing with. They come down, they're the deep state. They come down into what we're dealing with here in Oregon. They come down into why Art Robinson and Dennis Linthicum got sabotaged on the walkout. And the truth of the matter is, it's a uniparty thing. Our Republicans are working directly with the Democrats. People are making money. You can make money a lot easier when a nation is in demise than you can when it's on the rise. These people are corrupt. They're making a lot of money. They're working together. And here's the real key, you guys. They're cheating in the elections. They're cheating in the elections. Our elections are being rigged. And as long as our elections are rigged, we will never be able to get on top of this thing.
Okay, so now take it down from the 3,000 level to the 300-foot level and explain to me why we are fighting with each other. What is it that directly impacts us? We are fighting with each other. You just described how it affects that next level. What is it? What do we got to do? What can we do to amend the tides and move forward, because I feel like, and this is what I think the good thing that happened on Thursday night, I feel like the Republican Party just made a leap into the future with that meeting that they just had at the reorganizing meeting. They leaped into the future by giving up a couple of their positions, because I know it was hard for some of them to vote for the candidates that they thought were our candidates, but they wanted fresh blood. And so they knew that would bring the party together. So hopefully, I'm thinking there are some good people who aren't totally sold out, but I don't want to be led down the road where, oh no, it's just another piece of bullshit that we're getting mired in, because Rod Schilling isn't going anywhere. He's now the chair in the 4th district. And I believe Sherry Brady is the vice chair, if that's correct. I don't know. Maybe Michaela can correct that on me. But yeah, it's, it's just, I don't know what it is that we can do to get together. And Marty, you got an answer for some of this?
Well, I was going to say power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And the biggest problem we have is, and I'm not going to like point out just one individual, we'll just call him DBS, but when he's getting that amount of money from a California Democrat that for 20 years was the managing director for Newport Asia, which was, a huge $2 billion, investment fund that was basically doing all Asia and all China stuff. I mean, it's like, okay. I mean, I don't know what my price is, but we know what DBS's price is. And the thing is, well, when he gets a bunch of money, he gives that money to other people so long as they align with the person that's giving them the money. Now, I'm not saying this is a direct correlation to China is giving us, giving our politicians money to corrupt our government, but it certainly looks that way, because they are sowing division and coming up with the same playbook that the Democrats use, where it's like, well, if you don't agree with us, then we're going to run you out of business. We're going to, slander you and do all these horrible things to you. And I'm like going, well, aren't we supposed to all just get along here? I mean, aren't we in the same party working for the same thing? And, and it's like, how dare me say that somebody like Todd Vaughn, who's an American First and MAGA and, Make America Great Again guy, should be available and should have the opportunity to run in a primary. I mean, that was just, it was like, I was like a heretic for just saying something like that.
I know, huh?
And it's just like, well, hold on, guys. We are supposed to be building a way to take government control away from the government, because the government is, it's like we the people do not serve the government. The government serves us, we the people.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on. It's like they are, they're flipping it over, and unfortunately they have way bigger voices and way more ways of saying it than we do, because, even if we had 10,000 people watching this podcast right now, that's what, 1/7 of Coos County, that's one half of Curry County, that's it's like we just don't have the voice, we don't have the reach, but we got a new FCC chair, so maybe that'll fix things. A lot of mainstream media are going out of business. Maybe that'll fix things. We've got a new president who is going to basically eviscerate a lot of NGO stuff going on. Yep. That's a good thing. So, there's a lot of positives coming out of this, but at the same time, we have to look at the endemic, just the endemic and underlying corruption going on. That we've been carrying around, it's like, how many bricks do I have to carry on my back before I break my knees? And I will, I'm going to, I can't remember the name of the song, but Midnight Oil did a song where it's like, I am not going to die on my knees. I'd rather stand on my feet than die on my knees. And it's like, this is, this is what we're up against. They're going to just keep beating us down, and we just got to keep saying, hold on, people, you know.
Hold on. I agree.
Hold on.
Diane,
Yeah.
you look like you've got something to say.
I just wanted to agree that having Trump in office makes it so I can sleep at night.
Yeah, doesn't that feel great?
You know, I'm pro-business, pro-industry. I want us to all be capitalists, and I think capitalism is the best thing in the whole wide world. It's taken out of context most of the time, but in capitalism, you feed the little guy first. But we've an excellent businessman who understands capitalism and the fact that if the little guys have the business, the whole country booms, is so important. And I think that without that, we have no future. And also it could have gone really south. And so I'm really, really happy that Trump is in office. And it certainly has been a joy talking to you guys again tonight, and haven't talked to you, Todd, since the election, really. And I really appreciate that you ran. It's not easy to go up in to compete in an election, much less to compete against an incumbent in office. When I ran for clerk, I didn't have an incumbent against me, and it still was difficult. So, kudos, my friend. And Marty, it's always nice to be around you, and Rob, thanks for allowing me to be around you guys tonight and talk about the issues.
Well, not a problem. That's what we do on Fridays. Friday night rant.
Friday night rant.
I was ranting so hard I forgot what day it was. I
had to check my calendar real quick. Yeah, it's Friday.
What does my watch say? I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's one of the weird things. We're living in the future. I don't need a watch anymore. I got a phone. I don't know if you guys still have a watch, but.
No, I actually got rid of my watch because it was a Fitbit, and it was basically, I liked it because it would tell me how many steps I was doing and tell me to get off my butt and do something once in a while. But at the same time, Fitbit got bought out by Google, and I'm going, well, I really don't want Google knowing where I am every single second of every single day. I'm a little bit wincy about that, since I used to be a computer guy and I used to be a hacker, and I'm going, yeah. Well, you never have to worry about the fact that they're spying on everything you do if you never do anything wrong. And I'm going, yeah, but they keep moving the goalposts. So what is an innocuous thing yesterday is a federal crime today. It's oh my God, I misgendered that person. I'm going to Gitmo. Ouch.
Show me the man and I'll give you the crime.
Exactly. Thank you, William Randolph Hearst.
That was Hearst, wasn't it? So, Todd, you've been a candidate now. You're a board member. Do you have any plans, any political plans other than, I don't know, leaping tall buildings, whatever Grizzly Adams does? I don't know what Grizzly Adams does.
I thought he ate pine cones, but anyway.
I don't know. He lived with the bear. I remember that.
He's going to come up with a pine cone vodka. There we go.
Who was the actor who played Grizzly Adams? Do you guys remember?
No.
You come on. You got to remember the guy's name, and it's not coming to me.
Oh yeah, Sam Hager.
Dan.
What is it?
Dan Haggerty.
Dan Hager. Yeah, Haggerty.
Dan Haggerty. And we used to watch him on, I forget which week of the night it was. You know how all the shows used to come on the same week at the same time?
All the good shows were on Sunday night, yeah.
He was so handsome. I kissed him once.
Wow.
He had a group where you sign papers, and all of a sudden he kissed me. I have kissed Grizzly Adams and have a signed picture to prove it.
Oh, wow. That was worth doing the show right there to hear that.
Did his breath smell like pine cones?
I don't remember. But wasn't that
funny.
random? Yes, it was quite random.
Well, to answer your question, Rob, I have fought all of these years since I got involved in politics. I have been in an internal battle that I am still in to this very day. And that is a battle between wanting to enjoy my life and the wonderful place that I live and the bounty and the blessings that God has given me living in a place like Tiller and doing the kind of work I've done all my life in the woods. Between doing that and keep doing that and going through another experience like running a campaign against somebody like DBS, these experiences for all of us that are running for office, whatever the office is. Samantha Frost just went through it running against Dan Loomis for county clerk here in Douglas County. This is not being in campaigns is not easy. I know you guys know that. And the real problem with it, I'll tell you, Rob, here's the real problem with it. And here's why I really struggle, because I know they're cheating these elections. I know they are, right? There's some things that you just know deep in your soul. Now, when I was running around with Danessa, we were actually doing internal polling by the door, knocking on doors. I know that the vote count was not right on that Senate race, okay? And Samantha knows her vote count wasn't right also. So what happens, and Dan Loomis will never let us hand count ballots. We've tried to put we've tried to get put the paperwork in front of him to start a petition so that
ballot
we can
measure.
actually put a ballot measure, and we can't even get the thing started where we can take petitions around. He won't even let us start this. He wanted to charge our election integrity group $60,000 to look at ballot images of 2020. Our county clerk will not give us even any opportunity of transparency. He keeps the election observers from being able to observe. Now, when there's a lack of transparency in government, there is always a reason for that.
Yep.
Always. Because any government official that is a true public service opens himself up for full examination. I can tell you this, you can examine any part of my life you want. I'm happy to have you do that. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, there's things in my life that are personal, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying as far as my business dealings with people over the years, people that I've worked for, you can talk to any of them. I don't have anything to hide. So the deal is, whatever's happening in Douglas County, I know it's happening throughout Oregon. It has to do with the mail-in ballots. It has to do with the fact that we're still on Eric. These guys are cheating our elections. And there's a system to doing it. It goes clear to the top of the ORP is involved. They're directly hooked up with the Democrats. They're putting the people in office that they want in office. This is what we're dealing with. So, Rob, long story short,
go ahead.
It's hard for me to say, you know what, I'm going to run for this next position, knowing that I'm going to run a campaign with a bunch of beautiful people like you guys, like I ran my last campaign with, and it's going to be great. But at the same time, when it's all over, we're going to lose because they're going to cheat that election. And that makes it really hard, brother.
It sure does seem like it.
Yeah, and I'm 100% behind what Todd just got done saying. It's like, not only do I know they're cheating, but I've statistically proven it, and I have so much information about how they do the cheat. And like I said, I used to be a hacker, and I'm like going, if I was gonna subvert the system, how would I do it? And they're basically following that playbook. I mean, you look at Eric, you look at DMV, you look at the fact that the voter rolls at the county level are not controlled by the county. I mean, the churn rate for Coos County is 10,000 people per year. And, 12% of Coos County moves out or moves in. I don't think so. Coos County is a bunch of geezers like myself where we're not going anywhere. How is it that 40% of our population over the last 4 years either moved out or moved in? We're not talking about like, oh, well, I changed from Republican to Nav, or I changed my address. No. We're talking about people that moved out or moved in. We've had that much churn in Coos County which means if our election officers were actually doing those things in-house, they would be doing 50 changes a day, every day of the week, 50 weeks of the year for the last 4 years, which I'm certain they are not doing. But the whole point is that if the elections were fair and transparent, and they actually won by how much they say they won by, they wouldn't be stopping us from looking at the election results. They'd be going, look at these election results. They'd be shoving it in our face going, we won and we can prove it. Prove that we got it wrong. If they, if we had it wrong, if I, and I do make mistakes a lot, and just ask my wife, I make a lot of mistakes, but I mean, when I do computer stuff and I do calculations mathematically, I'm like going, if I made a mistake, please point out where my work was bad. And the whole thing is if they actually won the election by that big of percentage, then they would say, go ahead, look at the books, look at all the votes, look at the ballot images, look at the cast vote records. I mean, we won, and you're just a bunch of conspiracy theorists. Here's all our information. Show us where we got it wrong. And I'd be like, oh, and then I would do it, and I'm like, oh my God, I got it wrong. And I'd be mea culpa, you know what, I got it wrong. But they don't give me the opportunity to do that.
No one will stop you there, because you are right. And a lot of times you come up with the most wonderful, wonderful slogans and things that just make people laugh for years. You've just got that ability. And when you look at what they've done to the ballot itself, by adding all those codes, we're supposed to have a private vote. And yet they have codes on both sides of our ballots. And then they say that they have to have all these codes for all of the delivery of all the ballots. Well, why don't we just simplify everything? Why don't we have one ballot for everybody, whether you're a Republican and NAV, it doesn't really matter. Of course, you can have different variations for districts, but that's quite simple. And you don't have to have any codes printed on your ballots. It's been done. It's been absolutely done for years and years.
Oh, I know. It used to be when I was a kid, when I was younger. Anybody under 40 is a kid at this point. But when I was a kid, I used to go to a polling place and I would show my ID and they would say, prove that you live at this address. And I would show them, whatever. And then they would give me a ballot, and then I would mark my ballot, and at the end of the evening, they would say, and here's the results of the election. One day. And this was in Oakland, freaking California. We're not talking like, where I grew up in, Booger Glob, Iowa. No, I mean, we're talking like a major race, but this was back in, a long time ago when, corruption wasn't a big thing.
So I got to ask Marty, just going on a completely different subject. Have you read any more about the Board of Elections for Coos County, where we might be able to get into the clerk's office a little bit by getting people on the board who would be sympathetic to the cause? You know what I mean? What do you think of that?
I'm actually, I was talking to Rod, Commissioner Taylor, earlier today, and I need to talk to them with a lot of immediacy because Rod Taylor has a great record of waiting until the last minute to get anything done. And so I need to talk to him, and I need to talk to Bob Main and see how can we push through getting the Board of Elections or the election board or whatever we want to call it back in Coos County, who will have it's sort of like the planning commission. We'll have an election commission which will say this is how we're going to do the elections, and and the clerk will monitor them, but they won't actually run them. And it's like, if it's a 2 to 3, if it's 2 out of 3 thing, it would be a great thing for Bob Main to do this on his way out as a lame duck. But if we're going to do it, we're going to have to do it between now and the start of the year, which means we're going to have to start leaning on them hard pretty darn quick to get a resolution to say we need to start an election commission or an election board or whatever it takes.
Bob's one of those guys who might surprise you and do some crazy shit before he leaves, because as a commissioner, and if he gets Rod to agree with him, he could pass some really wild stuff. You know what I mean? I would like to see them put an advisory question on about the Coos Bay Wagon Road, because that's now going to be up for contention, because from what I hear, Drew Farmer is trying to, or I don't know if he's actually contacted the Indians yet, but he's talking about sharing the management of the Coos Bay Wagon Road with the Indians, and that could be detrimental. It could be a detrimental deal to our government, because they used to own the land. They sold the land to the federal government, and if they start managing it, if it goes into tribal court, they can actually take the deed of the land from the county and to and keep it for the Indians. It could turn into a really bad deal from us, depending on which court gets authority over the Indian tribe. And it's not a fight that we do want to get into. And so it's a really bad deal. I mean, we could lose all, or we could get $5 million a year. I don't know if we should trust the tribe. They did screw over the city of North Bend when they refused to pay a sales tax that they promised to pay back in, I think it was the late 90s, early 2000s, whenever they built the Mill Hotel. And the Indian tribe actually decided to not pay the tax. They just decided we're not going to pay the tax. And the city of North Bend tried to sue them. And of course, they claimed Indian sovereignty, and the federal government backed them up. And so we don't want that to happen with the Coos Bay Wagon Road. And of course, you're called a racist if you say something like that. But if you think about it, it's actually a racist policy, because the Indians are allowed to do something we can't do ourselves, and that is manage the Coos Bay Wagon Road. The federal government was supposed to do that. They negated the responsibilities. We need to take back the Wagon Train Road, and we need to harvest it. And like I said, we could probably get about $3 to $5 million a year. That's a lot of money coming off of that territory here in the county.
Well, we were talking about what we could do with Bob Main with the election board, and then all of a sudden we went into the Wagon Road. So I'm not really certain how to respond to that. Sorry. Moving on. Go ahead, Todd.
Well, what I was going to say is, you guys, there's one thing that you guys and everybody out there, I'm a forest guy, you guys know that. There's one thing you always need to remember, and that is anything that the counties do in regard to harvesting timber that brings money into the county is going to get nixed. Period. It doesn't matter what it is. If harvesting timber off federally controlled lands will put money in the coffers of the county, somebody is going to nix it. Because it's not. They do not want our counties to be self-sufficient. These people are consolidating power. Douglas County just gave our maintenance of our roads and bridges back to the state.
Yeah, the transportation department.
Tim Freeman says, well, we don't have any money. But once again, where's Tim Freeman hammering on the federal forest to start harvesting timber? He's nowhere to be found. Because they act like, what about the lawsuit that the ONC counties just went through? Oh, Tim Freeman won his election saying that we won that lawsuit. Now the money's going to pour into the coffers of Douglas County. Guess what? You don't think Freeman knew that they were going to appeal that lawsuit and the environmentalists were going to win? Of course he knew it. They all work together. He won an election based on money that was going to come into our coffers that he knew damn well was never coming in.
Because it's the globalists against the populace.
Yep. The globalists are definitely always at work, and you totally sound like a conspiracy nut when you talk about it. But You just have to go to Davos and one of those what is it? Those conventions that they have out there. What is it? The E4, the E6, the E2. What the hell is it?
The G7, which I think is
G7.
also, yeah, which I also think is the name of the jet they fly there. Is the Citation G7. But and it's like, oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
well, but the whole thing is that okay, well. It's funny that all the people that go to Davos that have their private pilots and their $45 million jets that fly there said, we will not have any pilots that have been vaccinated. I'm like, well, there you go. And that's why none of us should take that vaccine to go off in a completely different direction. And then Steve is like going, the feedback in my headphones is brutal. And I'm like going, well, no, I think it's just the fact that every time I turn on my microphone, I get like the fan noise from my computer that's kind of brutal and basically cuts everybody off. But that's what I do. I cut everybody off.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what that is. I thought you had a lawnmower going out behind you. So your wife's mowing the grass, is she? What the hell's going on? What's that woman doing?
Hey, he's the master of sound effects, boys. The master of sound effects.
And now, a lawnmower. No, it's just, for some reason my laptop's overheating, which means the fan is running high, and since I'm using the microphone in the laptop, it's picking up all the ambient noise around it. I mean, I have a really nice microphone, but it's on a computer that doesn't have a camera. And then I have a computer that has a really nice camera, but it doesn't have a microphone. And I'm like, and now I'm stuck using this crappy laptop that I got, let's put it this way, it fell off the back of a truck, okay? I didn't pay anything for it. But it's just, it is what it is. I'm sorry there's so much background noise. And I'm in an echo chamber room because, I'm in what my wife allows me to have as a man cave. Yeah, okay.
Poor Marty. Okay, poor.
It's more like a man chipmunk hole.
Well,
Oh my gosh, Marty.
it's the best I can do. And I would disagree with that, but I'm going to have to go ask the wife if she agrees with the fact that I disagree with that. So, okay.
We love Marty the most. That's all there is to it. And the guy can make anything happen. This man is so wonderful. It's like we come up with an idea when I was with Henri, and we'd need a video, and we need it right now. And I'd send the script over to Marty, and Marty'd cut the script. We put the video together and have it up the next day. I mean, the man can do anything. But no, Marty, your sound sounds like a lawnmower. Fix it.
I like the lawnmower effect. It's like it's a scary movie. Something wild is about to happen. It's just Marty.
It's just Marty. He's harmless. Well, mostly harmless. Okay.
Yeah, that would be a good intro to a radio show. Yes, mostly Marty.
Yeah.
So, wild stuff. Boy, we have really gotten into the weeds.
I'm assuming when I mute my microphone, it sounds so much better.
It does.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much the whole story of my life. You know what? When we don't hear you, you sound so much better. Or, like when I was a singer, they're like going, can you sing tenor? I'm like going, sure, I can sing tenor. No, I mean, like, can you sing 10 or 20 miles away from me?
Oh, I see. Listen, last night at the Republican meeting, we had a girl that became the treasurer, Golder from Bandon, the Napa store owner. And I'll tell you one thing, she's quite impressive.
She was quite impressive. The new treasurer.
It really got a good person there. Can't remember her name completely. Rob, do you remember?
Yeah, her name is Mary Jo Golder, and she's the daughter-in-law of Lee Golder, who used to be the mayor of North Bend and he is the owner of Napa. He owns the Napa in Bandon. He owns the Napa in Coos Bay. Very nice gentleman. And his son was there. We got to talk to him for a few minutes. I don't know if you were sitting next to me when he came over, and I know you had moved to the table, so I didn't know if did I introduce you to him? I don't know.
Came up and spoke to me. He was a wonderful gentleman. And
Yeah.
then she introduced herself because they voted her in without an introduction, which I thought was interesting. And she did too. But she gave an introduction that was very, very impressive. And she's very well spoken, very calm personality. I look forward to her doing great things.
I do too.
Edition, and I was also very impressed with the other edition.
Lourdes.
Exactly, Lourdes.
I've heard good things about her, and yeah, I think we got her. It's a whole new board of new people, and that is much better than sometimes getting people that who've been active in the party, because it takes so much energy out of you. It's hard to keep going.
It's not about that too. I mean, like Napoleon said it. He said it this way. He said, leaders must adjust their strategies at least every 10 years if they want to maintain superiority. And that was 300 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, 300 years ago. So now we've got to have new members, and we've got to do it often, frequently, because we become really stagnant.
Oh, we're completely stagnant.
We only have a few friends. Okay, so we have our little group, we bring them into the group, and we've got our opinions that are all the same, and we don't do anything different, and we don't try anything new. Guess what that happens? When you act away, when you die, everything dies with you.
And we're getting old.
For our children, I don't want to have no control over the future and have wind turbines all over our coastline. So we have to get involved, whether we want to or not, but we still have to come to the table and bargain like people. We have to expect good things, and we have to be strategic in our choices with who we put into office, because they're going to represent us. And, as Marty and Rob have pointed out, there's things that we need to watch for, and the people that are supposed to be vetting the candidates need to actually vet the candidates so we can feel comfortable with them, because I didn't know, and I don't know, Rob, if you knew that they didn't vet candidates, because I assumed that they did.
No, we have never vetted candidates, and here's what it is it goes back to that argument between the pragmatist and the purist. Even back then, they didn't care who came in as long as you were a Republican. Like I said, Drew Farmer could walk in there and say, I'm a Republican. And they would go, oh, that's great. Come in, Drew. You're now a Republican. You're with us. And just because he has an R after his name, no matter even if he was a liberal, non-affiliated voter, you have to give him credit for that. But still, we all know that who supported him. It was the Democrats. And the Republicans failed to support Bob Maine. That's why Drew won. And now we are stuck with the consequences of this. And hopefully from those consequences, we can build a stronger party, because under that type of pressure, the party's either going to break or it's going to puncture through. That's the only choice we have. We have created this problem, and we have to get through this problem. And, it's, I don't know. This is just on the local level. I don't know what they're going to do in Douglas County. Douglas County, Todd, is so screwed up. I don't think you're ever going to fix it. You've got the commissioners, you got the sheriff, you got the legislators, you got the senator. All of them are in this cabal. I mean, people, once again, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, they're all in this little cabal. What do you say, Todd Vaughn?
I say, if I hear about the 11th commandment of Ronald Reagan one more time, I'm just going to throw up right in everybody's face.
Yep.
I say vet everybody. Vet everybody. Look into everybody. If we're true public servants, if we've made mistakes in the past, we should be able to admit that. And if we're hiding something, we're not true public servants. It will pop out later on in the form of some kind of corruption. I say vet the hell out of every Republican candidate that we put forth. That should be the number one objective of the local Republican Party.
And that was something I was thinking, that you could bring the factions together, the purist, the pragmatist. What you could do is have candidates signed to a 10-plank platform, a very simple platform of issues that we all agree upon. And, we would have to come up with the issues, and they would have to be covering a lot of pretty much of the general issues that we can all agree upon, and at least start from there and have the candidates sign to that document as an affidavit that they're going to live up to this plank. And everyone would have to agree that their side, our side, all agreed that this was the best way to do something, is to actually hold people accountable to why they run for office, because they take an oath, and as soon as they get into office, they violate that oath, look you in the eye and say, well, you don't understand the perplexities of my position, and that the government has now forced me into a situation where I have to agree with the government.
Oh yeah, and he's playing 4D chess, don't you know? Underwater. He's playing 4D chess underwater. We just can't understand the complexities of the legislations that he has to do. And I'm like going, no, I looked at that bill and you sponsored it, so what's so complex about all this? Oh, and just to say a big hello to Lenny. I'm not in a closet. I'm in a man cave. Just says Marty's in the closet, and I'm like going, no. I'm in the bestest man cave my wife will allow me. So there we go.
Oh! Now that you've told us the truth, get back in the closet.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
don't tell anybody that story ever again.
Drew Farmer was my pick for commissioner. Oh yes. I'm wearing I'm wearing a gay pride flag in my underwear, but yeah, I can't tell you that.
Yes, we should hang the gay pride flag in the official buildings owned by the county. Now that Drew is our county official here on the Board of Commissioners, and therefore violating the U.S. Constitution, but he don't care because it's for the right thing. It's for DEI. We got to worship at the God of DEI, and now that's our commissioner here. It's just great. We're winning. We got back a little bit of the Republican Party, which I don't know if that's really a win. I think we might be just biting into a sour apple and it's poison, or it's you look at the election and we really screwed up with candidates. But I'll tell you what we did do in this election, and I was really blown away by this. They killed Measure 118 on the state level. Here in Coos County, we killed the library tax, the fees in North Bend, and the county tax. The county tax was what, like 65%? It was an incredible amount of FU. Don't ever ask us this question again. And then we passed the wind turbine legislation. What an incredible feat on that side of the aisle for the measures. It's like we lost the candidates, but we got the measures we wanted. And I can't understand that dichotomy of how the voters made that choice. Okay, I'm going to vote against taxes, but I'm going to put in office a tax and spend politician. How the freak does that happen, man? We voted away the taxes, but then we put the damn politicians in. Go for it, Todd.
You just dial those machines up, brother. You just dial them up.
Yeah, the fact that they would not allow me to get election, web activity logs or election activity logs or cast vote records basically means, well, and I love the county website where they're like saying, oh, we're all about transparency, and if you don't agree with us, then you're spreading misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. And I'm like going, wow, not even in the least. I mean, and it's like, and we won't even get into the IT director for Coos County, where he's like, you can't hack into the machines, and Dr. Frank is an idiot. And I'm like, oh, geez, this is just horrible. I mean, it's like, this is the guy running our IT department. This is horrible.
Guy who can't figure out the sound system at the BOC meetings.
Well, it works out fine if Commissioner Sweet wants to like run a video of what park he went to. Oh my God, we can get that up on the big screen immediately. But if Dr. Frank wants to show a few slides, well, we can't get this to work right now. Sorry.
Diane, what were you saying?
Well, my point was that, you have a man who's been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, and we have someone who can't put together the audio service for the BOC meeting, telling him he's an idiot. That seems to me to be a bit ridiculous. And it was quite embarrassing to be in the audience and a member of the county and have a county employee acting in a way like that. He was completely out of line, and I think they should have stopped him, and I think he should have been rebuffed by one of the commissioners, because beyond his own opinions, he doesn't know about the manufacturing of the equipment and the way that they work together, because there are ways to hack into a computer, and the man knows his business, or he wouldn't be there.
There are ways to hack into a computer? Oh, that's the first I've heard of that.
That's a conspiracy, Diane. That's just crazy talk. Hacking into a computer?
And if you were having problems with your election, the best thing to do is put it up on your website that you don't have problems with your election, and that anyone that says you do is committing a crime. I don't know. This is such a strange world. I can't hardly believe it anymore. At sometimes, it's scary. We still have to vote, and we still have to hope for the best, but we still have to. I think what we have to do is we have to pick measures, make sure that we have the opportunity to teach people what's important about the measure, and then really, really be dedicated. The time that Rob and I and Marty and Danessa and all the people that have worked with the wind turbines, Oregonians against turbines, this is definitely a part-time job.
So, that brings me back to, you were talking about measures and working on measures. Marty, that brings me back to the Coos Bay Wagon Road, where we need to ask the commissioners to put the question on the ballot whether they should or shouldn't do business with the Indian tribe. It should be up to the people, because in 2010, they had an advisory question that I actually went there and asked them to put on the ballot with several other people. And that question was, should the Indian tribe be allowed to manage the Coos Bay Wagon Road? And that vote got a high rate of return. It was like 69%, 69%. It was a general election in 2010, I believe. And it got like upwards of 70 some odd percent. It was like a really high number. It was like 75, 77%. It was huge. And that's what I was talking about when we were, we need to focus on some of those issues and different things. And election integrity is one of them. The Coos Bay Wagon Road is going to be coming up soon, because I know they're working behind the scenes to actually get that contract fulfilled. And we got to keep an eye on it. That's the shit that they always do, that, we're looking at one thing that they're putting in front of us, but sometimes they're doing that stuff behind the scenes that, aren't really in our best interest.
Well, I'm a bit concerned by the fact that what you brought up earlier about the fact that the Mill Casino is supposed to be paying X amount of dollars to North Bend or Coos Bay or whoever. And they basically just, turned up the middle finger and said, no, we're not going to do that. And what are you going to do about it? You're going to take us to court? Hey, we're the Indian tribes. We're federal. And if it was actually being run by Indians, I may or may not have a problem with that. But more often than not, it's run by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, which is probably not working in the best interest of the Indians. And I'm just like going, well, you know, if they're going to take over the wagon road, you know, and they're going to give us promises that they're going to do right by us with the wagon road. I'm like going, well, you don't really have a history of doing right by us when it comes to, you know, paying attention to the contracts. And at the same time, I'm like going, and we did such a great job with the Indians in the 1860s, so I'm sure they're like going, yeah, suck it, white guy. So.
Well, guys, it's been an interesting night. Did we cover everything? Do you guys know about the meeting tomorrow? There's a meeting tomorrow at the Restoration Worship Center. Marty, you're going to be at that meeting tomorrow, aren't you?
Well, that's the theory. I mean, and Samantha's supposed to be at that meeting as well. So Samantha's going to be there in person, and a couple other people are going to be there. And the whole point is we're doing a variation on CRL where it's called Coos Integrity. And so we're working on election integrity issues in Coos County, and we're trying to build a base of people that will help us out when we need to do canvassing. And so we're getting a lot of data from Dr. Frank, and we're like, you know, we're looking at suspect addresses, and we're trying to come up with a, you know, boots on the ground kind of thing. We need people that will help us when it comes to, you know, going out and knocking on doors and saying, hey, there's theoretically 10 people working here or living here that voted in the last election. Is this something that you think is correct or not correct? And more often than not, when we did this back in 2022, 7 out of 10 addresses that we went to, people were going, nobody with that name ever lived here. And it's like, well, that's funny because somebody with this address voted in that election. And so we got all these affidavits, and nothing much happened with it, but the whole idea is we just keep chipping away, and I'm going to get a fresh set of addresses of people that voted that may be at suspect addresses, and we're going to need people that will be willing to go out and do canvassing so that we can find all these, you know, ghost voters. I think it's the nicest way to put it.
Okay, and so you're meeting tomorrow? I think that was the question. We're meeting tomorrow at the Restoration Worship Center, right, at 6 o'clock.
That is correct.
Okay, and
Sorry.
so what are you going to be doing there?
Well, there, you know, Samantha's going to be coming in and talking about hand count stuff, and one of the other people is going to be talking about the Curious Case of Coos County stuff, and hopefully what we're going to have is an entertaining session where we can get a lot of people signed up to help us with the, you know, the canvassing things.
Cool. That's totally cool. So folks, tomorrow at the Restoration Worship Center, 6 o'clock, and we're going to be talking about election integrity. It's very important. And Marty, I would have some advice. What is it called? The Coos Integrity Group? I would just call it CI. Just shorten it down to CI. That's what Trump would tell you. Trump, this is what you should do. You just take it down to CI. You know, that's it.
And exactly, and we actually did take it down to CI, but you can't get CI.com because that's already taken. So we have CoosIntegrity.com, which is
nobody wants that.
Yeah, CoosIntegrity.com was the one domain that I could get that basically typified what we're trying to do. We're trying to do the CI in Coos County, Coos Integrity, you know, election integrity in Coos County. So it's CoosIntegrity.com, and yes, we will have a meeting at Restoration Worship Hardware, or Restoration Hardware. Sorry.
I think you've been discriminated against, Marty, because that's not fair that you can't have the web thing that you want. I mean, you should be CI. When are we going to get past that? Why do we even have that? What the hell is that stuff, that .com? That's a conspiracy, I'm telling you.
I probably could have gotten CI.org for like $785,000 because any two-letter domain names have been bought a long time ago. So I had to go with the CoosIntegrity.com, and basically it's a placeholder for what we're trying to do with election integrity in Coos County.
Good. Okay. All right. I made that absolutely completely difficult. And so Michaela, she is having a meeting tomorrow in North 40. That's in downtown Roseburg at noon. And I'm not sure what Michaela is. Can you come on? Okay, I don't see any messages from Michaela that describes what the meeting's about. But if you're in Roseburg at noon tomorrow, you should go over to North 40 and get a really nice big pint of beer and go listen to what Michaela has to tell you about whatever her meeting's going to be about. Isn't that nice? I don't know what to tell you. Michaela, I need details. I can't remember. I hate that. I read the thing that she had sent out, which was the notice for it, and I just can't remember what that is. I don't know.
I can give you some details, Rob.
Oh, you rock, man. Give me some details.
Well, I'll be at the meeting tomorrow. So there's a couple different things happening. Basically, we're just trying to figure out in Douglas County where to go next. Like I said, basically the cabal in Douglas County is now complete. Our commissioners are running the GOP, period. I mean, I guarantee it. The chair
GOP
of the GOP,
the GOP is running the commissioners, right?
Actually, the opposite. The commissioners are running the GOP. So their
you're
guy
right.
just
You're right.
Their guy just got elected chair. In fact, Tim Freeman is the one that suggested, what do you call it when you put somebody's name out there? Nomination. Tim Freeman nominated the guy from the floor. So the chair of the GOP in Douglas County is now Tim Freeman's boy, period. Okay. So this is a serious problem for those of us who would actually like to stay active in the Republican Party in Douglas County. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the election we just had, the fact that a whole bunch of people did not receive notice, which means the election was not actually legitimate. They voted that they gave proper notice. They actually made a motion. The motion was to acknowledge that proper notice was given, even though there were like 15 people sitting there going, I never received notice. But it appears that if you make a motion that something is true, and all the people that you've got all, gathered together that all agree on what you're going to do in that meeting, if they all agree that it's true, then the fact that you made a motion and you took a vote makes it true. So that's what's happening in Douglas County. And we're looking at how do we respond to the fact that a bunch of our PCPs did not receive notice for that meeting. And I'm not sure what the response is going to be, but there may be some legal actions taken. And we'll be talking about that. Not only that, but there is a new petition effort going on to get rid of mail-in voting in Oregon. Ben Edel is
Ben Edel. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're actually going to be talking about that and trying to bring people into that over the next couple of years. And you guys, spread it around because there's something that is changing here in regard to our efforts to get rid of mail-in voting. What is changing is that the post office is no longer functional. I know people in Douglas County that are not receiving their mail. Like they're only getting their mail like once a week or something. So the post office, whatever's happening with the post office, you see a bunch of the votes went up to Portland last time and didn't come back to get counted in time. There's weird shit happening with the post office. I don't know exactly what it is, but I can tell you that over the next year or two, this post office that is becoming more and more non-functional is going to become a serious issue in regard to mail-in ballots. So we are going to be working on a petition that's going to also be part of our meeting. Yeah, the other thing that happened was, a number of people got elected in our biennial organizational meeting that actually the meeting was not properly conducted in a few different ways. So these things are going to be talked about too. So, and basically, we just want to get together with patriots in Douglas County who are looking at what we're dealing with, all the issues we talked about tonight, all the issues with the Republican Party that we're dealing with here in Oregon, and just try to come together and find out what the ideas are out there. Where do we need to go? Where do the patriots in Douglas County, and for that matter in Coos County and Curry County, where do we need to go with this thing next? So these will all be conversations that are happening at the North 40 at 12 o'clock. 12 noon.
Oh man, that sounds like an interesting time to go and have some beer and maybe some pulled pork and listen to you guys make your argument, because hey, I've been there to make that argument before, so I'm glad you're doing it, man. And it's interesting how this has flourished in so many counties. It's not nearly as bad in Curry County. I think that's because it's a smaller county and there are fewer people involved, and it doesn't take a lot of people to outnumber the party, board and PCPs and stuff. Here, if we wanted to take over the party, Diane, what did they say? 35 reps were there, our PCPs were there. So, we would have to have at least 12.
He's in attendance at the meeting last night, and about 20 were voting one way and 15 were voting the other way. So, and the thing about it is the chair can also appoint PCPs. So when they
vote, can they vote?
Can't vote unless.
In some cases, yes. In some cases, yes. So
I don't know what it is for the Coos County. I don't know what it says in the bylaws.
Well, during the year, you're going to have other positions that they're
Diane read the bylaws. Damn it, we should know this.
Well, of course, and it is. I'm not talking about the election. I'm talking about during the year. You'll have other PCP, the czar of the PCPs, whatever you want to call that. That's an elected office that they try to appoint someone to, or they did appoint.
Right.
And that type of thing can happen. And the people that are there that have been appointed, in that case, can vote. So anyway.
Yeah. So that's good that this is happening tomorrow in Douglas County. We got that going on. And then we got the meeting at Restoration Worship Center for the CI Coos Integrity. CoosIntegrity.com. It was .com, right?
You are absolutely correct. It is .com.
Cool. I hate when I get that wrong. CoosIntegrity.com. And you
wait. I will put a link into it. I will put a link to it in the chat.
Oh, cool. There you go. So bless you, brother. I'm keeping you guys way up late here, but the conversation has been pretty good. And I don't know how many Rolling Rocks have you had there, Marty? And
I am actually up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm up to 8 right now. So
that's pretty good. I couldn't drink 8 beers. I'd be drunk. I've had 2, 3 shots. So,
yeah, I had to step out a couple of times for a smoke and for a bathroom break because, beer goes in, beer goes out. So
beer goes in. That's why I like the hard stuff. It just takes a lot less to get you, where you want to go.
Well, for me, it's like, it slows me down such that I'm not like a raging drunk immediately. So it's like, I just kind of get into the rage at a very slow level if I'm drinking beers. So,
we're not to the point of karaoke yet. In other words, is that what you're trying to say?
Well, oh geez, no. If you were playing songs, I'd be singing along to them, and it'd be like, yeah, I still suck at singing. Thank you very much.
You don't either. You do really well. You can sing. We were there at boardwalk, and you were singing really well. So, Marty. But listen, guys, I gotta go.
All right.
Thanks a lot, and I will talk to you later, guys. Thank you.
Talk to you later. And I'm sorry, Diane, I didn't mean to cut you off short. So guys, I got to get you out of here, and I appreciate you coming on and talking about this. There was a lot of really cool conspiracies, and that abortion conversation was absolutely fascinating. I mean, it got everyone going, and they all had opinions. And yeah, I totally got what everyone was saying, what Diane was saying in the end, talking about how that's the last issue you want to lead on. And well, I really didn't get your answer. You don't want to lead on that issue, do you? There.
No, I was just saying it's a big distraction. I mean, the whole point is we're trying to rebuild the country from the 4 to 9 to 16 years of desecration of our country and our people and our religion and our society. And it's like, oh, by the way, let's give you something that everybody's going to churn on so that you can be distracted. It's like bread and circuses in the Roman times. It's like, okay, the Roman Empire is collapsing. Let's have some more gladiators. Let's put on the NFL Sunday ticket. Yeah, you can have the Sunday ticket for free this weekend. And it's like, oh, well, I guess I really won't get too involved in politics today because I got to watch what some $52 million a year quarterback is doing for a living. And, oh, my God, this guy for the Kansas City Chiefs is dating Taylor Swift. Oh, that's more important than, like, how my life is going to be for the rest of my life. Ah, no. I got to, like, pray to the gods of celebrity. No, thank you. Not doing it. Been there, done that. Used to work in radio, used to work in TV. Hate everybody.
Hate everybody. That's a good way to go.
I am not a bigot. I am not a racist. I hate everybody.
And Marty, that's the funny thing. And if you're in a situation in Oregon, because we're in the southern part of Oregon, we don't have to really face that too much sometimes. But when you live like in places like Portland, you live in places like where you lived in California, there are a lot of crazy, wacky leftists, and especially in the entertainment business. And I mean rabid leftists. And I get what you're saying. I just totally hate everybody. I would hate living there too. I don't mind one or two, but how many is too many?
Well, and you get to a certain level where it's like, I used to think I was like the weirdo and the idiot, but then you start dealing with celebrities, and then celebrities' agents, and celebrities' sycophants, and all these people, entourages of, 10, 15, 20, 30 people that all they do is they follow them around and they say, yes, sir, no, sir, and, and go out and do their laundry and buy their clothes and buy their food and, clean their house. And it's like, and they don't live in the same world that you and I live in, where I actually have to wash my own clothes. I actually have to make my own food. I actually have to work for a living. And everybody is like kneeling down in the altar of celebrity going, oh my God, it's like if Taylor Swift doesn't like Trump, then I can't like Trump. And I'm like going, oh, wow, you're using that as a bellwether for how the country and the world is going to work, because we're going to be at World War III between now and January.
Marty, you say that, and you look at what Putin. I don't know if you watched Putin. He just spoke recently about things are going to shit in Ukraine, and he said it in a very, very strong Russian way. When they speak, I love when he speaks. It's like, oh my God, he's serious. This dude is serious. Do you hear how he's speaking? And then you look at who's president now, which is Joe Biden,
Hold on, who is president now? Because
Well-
didn't Biden step down? I mean,
No, he didn't step down.
He wasn't competent enough to run as president, but I guess he's still
He's lost in the sand right
president.
now.
Okay. Oh yeah, he's at Rehoboth Beach or whatever,
Yeah, it's
And then Kamala's in Hawaii having her 18th
so no one's
Mai
no
Tai.
one's in charge. That's exactly my point, Marty.
Yeah.
Is that no one's in charge.
No one's in charge.
And you got people like Putin who are so damn serious, telling you this could really escalate into World War III. I'm not shitting with you. We're going to some serious levels of war here, and there's going to be a lot of damage. And you better not have your bombs blowing us up, America, because we're fighting the Ukrainians and we're going to take them out. And we're going to have to decide what we're going to do, because this is going to go to World War III. And you got Biden and Kamala doing exactly what you just said, Marty, is one's in Hawaii and one doesn't even know where he's at. So
Yeah.
there you go. That's the
Well,
situation.
well, the nice thing is Trump is now and always has been in communications with Putin and President Xi, or if you call him President of China, and the guy who runs North Korea, the guy with the bad haircut, or North Korea, by the way, and it's like he's in contact. I mean, he writes letters to Jim Dun. I can't pronounce his name, but anyway,
He's talking about Xi Jinping?
yeah, the guy that runs North Korea. But anyway,
Oh yeah. Okay.
so he's in contact with all these people, and he's like on, and even Putin said, I'd be more than happy to talk about a peace deal with Trump. I'm not going to talk to anybody else. And it's like the same thing with the guy that's running Ukraine now. He's like going, well, I am not going to do anything. And it's like, well, that's because you're the puppet dictator. But the whole point is they are going to do everything they can do to make sure that there is not a clean transition from the puppet dictatorship to what Trump is going to do when he gets in. And what he's going to do...
We'll see.
What's that?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
We got what? We got, it's November 22nd. So we got, that's 30, 20, 50, 60 days. We got 60 days.
60 days. We got 2 months.
2 months. And you always wonder between that transition of power, because they really thought, oh no, Trump, he's never going to give it up. And then the insurrectionists came. And then you got to think, well, what is, Biden is one of those who is more likely the type of person to not want to give up power. And that's why, you'll never see him give power to Kamala. They want him to give up the presidency and give it over to Kamala. She doesn't want to. She wants to be president because, that would just be cool to have that first woman black president. And
well, not really black, but okay, fine.
Whatever. But this is the sad part that's going on in our country now, when Putin is sitting in Russia threatening us with World War III. That's just nuts, man. And I just saw that today. And I don't know, before I get you out of here, Todd, what do you think on that? Did you see that video?
Yeah, I think that Putin is probably a far more self-controlled and intelligent person than what maybe a lot of people think he is. The guy is a nationalist, and he wants to protect the motherland. That's Putin is a lot more in line in some ways with the kind of nationalism that most of us in MAGA believe in than what people understand. So he's going to protect his own people. I don't think Putin wants a nuclear war, to be very honest with you. I think that he will proceed carefully while posturing that he's about ready to blow us out of the effing water.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that makes perfect sense, because, he is a well-educated guy, and he's always shown very much restraint. And the whole idea is that he knows that there is a huge globalist puppet dictatorship going on, and all these countries are being run by people that aren't actually elected. And he's like going, well, I will talk with Trump when Trump gets back to being president. We are not going to start a nuclear war, but tell you what, if you start launching these missiles into Russia, then I'll be more than happy to blow up. I'll take a hypersonic missile and shove it right up your butt.
Okay.
So, and it's like, he's doing a sort of a limited edition variability on the saber rattling, where he's just like going, these people are in their last gasp of trying to take over the whole world, and I'm not buying it. And Xi Jinping in China is not buying it. And, everybody, it's like everybody can work together very well. Trump has no problem with Putin being a Russian nationalist. He's doing the Russian version of MAGA. He wants, the whole eastern part of Ukraine is all Russian-speaking people, or western part of Ukraine. Sorry, I get my east and west, mixed up in that.
Well, do you really care?
And I don't care. And the whole point is that, he wants to save all the Russian-speaking people so they can come back into Russia if they want to.
Yeah,
And
I don't know who's right or wrong. I don't know if Ukraine's right. I don't know if Russia's right. I know both of them are kind of dirtbags. I mean, what do you do when you have two dirtbags fighting each other, Marty? You know what I mean?
I know. Who do you root for?
Who do you root for? I mean, you kind of root for them to destroy each other, don't you? It's like, well, I don't want to ever have to deal with those dirtbags, so I sure hope they kill each other.
Oh, it was like when I was watching the World Series. It was like when I was watching the World Series, and I really don't watch a lot of Major League Baseball anymore, because when I worked for Major League Baseball and they started being super woke, I said, hey, Rob Manfred, and I sent him an email. I said, you can do whatever you want in your own spare time, but if you tell Major League Baseball to go woke, I am out of here. And so I used to be the guy that, if you ever watch a Major League Baseball game and they show you like where the pitch goes across the plate, it's called pitch tracks. Somebody has to run those computers. I was the guy that ran those computers for Major League Baseball.
Which team again?
What's that?
Which team, or was it?
San Francisco Giants and Oakland Athletics.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So when the Giants were in town, I ran it for the Giants. When the A's were in town, I ran it for the A's. So I went to 122 Major League Baseball games in one season when I lived in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Rob Manfred said, "Oh, well, we're going to go woke and we're going to like put up Black Lives Matter and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Yeah, count me out, buddy. I'm out of here." But I had an MLB.com email address, so I basically sent him like this scathing retribution of, "Yeah, you don't go woke because you're America's game, idiot."
Yeah, it doesn't work well. But,
I'm paraphrasing, but yeah.
I don't know if you saw the videos of the guys doing the Trump dance, and these are young athletes who are.
Oh, I love that.
That is like the hippest thing that is so cool. And Trump's got his own freaking dance, and they're dancing on the field. And years ago, what was it? Just 4 years, for a couple of years ago, they were taking the knee, and now they're dancing in the field, and it's just a beautiful thing. So I gotta go.
Yeah, Nick Bosa gets like a $35,000 fine for wearing a MAGA hat at a post-game interview.
Yeah,
now everybody is buying Bosa jerseys. They can't keep them in stock.
Totally. Hey, Todd, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Todd.
I had a great time. Had a great time, Rob. I haven't seen you guys in a while. Love you guys. Thanks for all your help on my campaign.
Oh man, it was our pleasure. It was.
And Todd, it was great to see you. I mean, sorry about putting the imprint of my face on your lawn, but hey, that's
Oh yeah, that was funny. That was.
it was a lot of fun, and everything's a lot of fun, and I love hanging out with you guys. And Todd, I'm so sorry that we haven't talked, since then till now, but
Yeah, it's been too long.
it's been too long.
You guys are great. Thanks for spending some time with me tonight.
No problem, man. You take care, okay?
You too.
All right. Bye bye. Marty, I got to get you going. I got to get out of here. The bladder is full, and
Yeah, no, I already stepped out a couple of times with my putting up the cartoon face because I was like going, well, I'm drinking beer, which means I have to pee like 3 times faster than you do. So, you're drinking the hard stuff. I'm drinking, you're ingesting, 4 ounces of high test, and I'm ingesting like 100 ounces of low test, which means my prostate's like going, you really need to go now. And I'm like, okay, whatever you say, prostate.
that's about where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later, man.
Anyway, great evening, and it was fun having everybody on board. I mean, Samantha and Lenny and None of Business. I mean, everybody chimed in, and it was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. And yes, thank you all those people as well. Oh, none of your business. I know he showed up kind of late there, but I'm glad he did finally pop in. Lenny is always with us. Great guy. Lenny, I'm not sure if I've ever met you, but if I have, or if I haven't, thank you for sticking with us. Samantha, appreciate the comments. Very entertaining, very enlightening. And Oregon Outlaw, always on the line there. That's pretty cool. Cool.
I mean, everybody in the comment chain was like
Michaela.
super good. Oh yeah, Michaela, Samantha Frost.
Steve,
Steve was harsh to me, but I mean that's cool because Steve is like a great guy. I mean, I love hanging out with Steve. So.
All right, and if I forgot anyone, I apologize.
So I'm going to chirp off here and let you do your post show. And now it's time to talk about the advertisers.
The advertisers. I'm going to pay some debts. That's just the way life is.
Pay some bills.
Pay some bills.
Honestly, I mean, as a show note, what you should probably do when we do these long shows, and it's 2 hours and 42 minutes now. We're almost up to 3 hours. But what you should do is probably do like once an hour, and now we're going to do like 4 commercials of our sponsors so everybody can run to the bathroom.
I have been thinking of that. And that's that was the original idea, and I don't know why I haven't gotten back to that, but I should do that for each and every one of the sponsors, because then we could do it, like you said, every hour.
Yeah.
And take that bathroom break, and I'm sure our audience, they might appreciate that.
Even the audience has to go to the bathroom once in a while.
And so it's just, you got to get the popcorn. You got to answer the
door. Oh yeah, we have a lot of popcorn that it's like, oh, enjoy the movie. Make sure you have some fresh popcorn.
We'll do something frightening. All right, man, I gotta go.
Yeah, but anyway, thanks for having me on the show. I'm going to hit the leave studio button and let you finish up with the sponsors.
Thank you. And that was Marty. He's a great guy. Let's see. Like I said, I want to appreciate everyone. I do appreciate everyone who has chimed in. That was some interesting conversation, and I like the Friday night rant. That was just cool. And we got to talk about a lot of different things that are happening here locally, but they extend out to the national spectrum. There's a lot of politics going on. on the state level and on the national level that is reflected here at the local level. We are doing things here that is being fought out in the bigger politic, and I'm talking about, in our case, the Republican Party. So I've never been much of a team player. I'm one of those people who's a loner, but I like trying for something to be better, and I want the Republican Party to be better. And I would hope that we can come together and work together in Coos County to make a better party, because there are great things we can do. And you can do those same things wherever you live. It starts at the precinct level and then it goes to the county level. And from those base levels, you can achieve a lot of different things. And I just had 3 other activists on the show who have fought for property rights, for against taxes, against windmills, and it's and I shouldn't call them windmills; they're wind turbines. And so it's something that you have to do from the base level, from the precinct all the way up to the county and the state. And that's what we're trying here in Coos County. And I hope you enjoyed the show. It's just odd, the things that are going on in different counties. And this is why you have to get involved wherever you're at. You have to get involved in, I don't know at what level, but that's what we're doing here to try to change things. And I try to bring that to you and show you, so that you maybe get a little glimpse of hope, because, until you see that there's other people out there who are asking these questions, whether things are on the up and up. Election integrity, that's a huge one. And I mean, if your elections aren't good, your vote doesn't really count. And so I appreciate all of you coming in. I got to get back. I got to get out of here. And so I'm not going to ramble on anymore. Yeah, I think I should have that 3rd shot. Let's see. I got some sponsors here I got to talk about. And these are really great guys. These are people that have been with this show for quite a while. When I was on the radio, they were with me. And it's 3H Tree Service. They are the best tree service in the county. They can come into your yard, take those trees, those trees that are a liability, they can catch on fire. They got bugs, their branches are weak. They can fall on sheds or your car, and you don't want that to happen. You don't want these branches to fall on your car. I don't want it to happen. You don't want it to happen. Call 3H Tree Service. 3H Tree Service can come out to your property, take out those trees, and do it with surgical precision. Those are great guys out there. The Holman family, they're good people in the community. It really is that's, once again, that's people that that you got to connect with. And 3H Tree Service is one of those companies who they know that it's time to get government out of our life, because they're actually a business as well, and they have a lot of regulations and a lot of taxes that and fees and fines and all kinds of things that they have to put up with as a business. And I could only ask that you be a patron of 3H Tree Service. I heard they do micro-logging. I don't know what micro-logging is. I still haven't figured it out. I never asked Matt what micro-logging is. I'm not sure if it's like they cut down bonsai plants, or are they just logging a smaller area? I don't know. I'm lost on that one. Let's see. Tommy Gigs. I hope Tim comes on Monday. Tim always has a good rant. Tommy Gigs, 135 South Shoneman Street, Coos Bay, Oregon. If you have any automotive needs, you got needs. Everyone's got needs. Well, you got automotive needs, you need to go over to Tommy Gigs. Yeah, pretty simple, 135 South Shoneman Street. And you could give him a call at 541-888-4660. Herbal Choices, that's my choice for cannabis. And You can go to Herbal Choices. It's a dispensary here in Coos County and in southern Douglas County and Reedsport and North Bend, Coos Bay, and Bandon and South Bandon. Yeah. Beautiful stores, well lit. You like the ambience. It's a really nice ambience. And they got a great parking lot. It's well lit. You walk into the stores and you got bud tenders who are very knowledgeable on the latest products at Herbal Choices. Herbal Choices, that's my choice. Herbal Choices. Okay, let's see. What Oregon Firearms Federation. You know, Kevin Starrett, he's still kicking ass. The dude is just phenomenal. I don't know what to tell you. It's he's just one of those people who has been fighting against the system, raging against the machine being the government who wants to take away every last one of your Second Amendment rights. They want to do it, they want to do it. And they say they don't want to do it, but they do. They do. They want to take away your rights. Don't you believe them when they say, oh, no, we don't want to take away your rights. We just want you to fill out another form. We want you to get a license. No, you can't go out and carry. You can't go out and carry in the open. It's crazy, man. We got to take your guns. It's for your safety. Because, we're going to release all those criminals. We're going to release the criminals on the streets. So you don't need guns. Because, the criminals are going to break into your house and they might get your guns and kill you. So you can't have your guns. That's what those crazy liberals will tell you. And you're going, what? Oh, no. Every year, millions and millions of times people defend themselves with guns. They do. They defend themselves with guns. And I think it's 2 million people a year defend themselves with guns. And 1 million people actually save a life by deterring someone from committing a crime that could be lethal. That does happen. 1 million times, according to the FBI. FBI statistics. And you know who does that? John Lott. And Oregon Firearms Federation, they know the truth. They know the real numbers. And firearms are not the problem. You want to know what the problem is the criminals, the people who use guns improperly. You need to go after those people. You need to stop being soft on crime. You need to actually punish people for violating the rights of others. That's the job of government. It's not the job of government to take away our Second Amendment. And the Oregon Firearms Federation, they're kicking ass in the courts. They're fighting for our Second Amendment rights. So if you want to give to an organization that's truly fighting for you, because Kevin doesn't make hardly any money off it. He does get some funding with it, but he doesn't make hardly any money off it. He makes very little. And most of the money, the majority of it goes to lawyers to fight for your Second Amendment rights. And that really sucks, but that's what you have to do to fight these court battles. And that's why people like us, we don't win in courts. A lot of us don't have the money. That's how they get you. You get a gun violation. You don't have money to pay the fine that from the law you violated. And then the first thing they do is they take away your gun rights. And then they tell you, no, don't worry. It's not about taking away your guns. Right after they take away your guns. In the Oregon Firearms Federation, Kevin Starrett, still fighting for your rights to keep your firearms. And sorry, I get very passionate about that because I'm passionate about my Second Amendment rights. And let's see here. Bandon Gun Club, if you want to go to Bandon Gun Club, I highly recommend you check out their website at bandongunclub.org. And hey, they're not my sponsors, but they're such a cool place that I highly recommend if you want to hone in your pistol skills or your trap shooting. Trap shooting's really good with a shotgun. It gets you really, talking about honing in your skills. They got a 5-trap shoot. You're shooting one direction and another direction. It hones in those skills so you can just blast away at anything, just moving swiftly through the learning how to look and aim with your shotgun to take out those the traps, the skeet. And it's not skeet, it's trap. Yeah. I never understood the difference between the two, but they know the difference at Bandon Gun Club. check it out at banditgunclub.org. Tioga Sports Park, if you got a rifle that you want to get the scope on it, sealed in, well, Tioga Sports Park, you can check them out. They're next to the dump. Yeah, it's not that bad. It sounds bad, but it's not that bad. But they're next to the dump on 101. And Tioga Sports Park, they got a 100-yard range where you can sight in your scope and target practice. It's a real fun place. I highly recommend it. Once again, they're not my sponsors, but I recommend people to go to them all the time. Tioga Sports Park. And that's pretty much all I've got for you. And I want to thank you for joining me. I truly, truly, truly appreciate that. It gets entertaining when we start talking about all those different issues. Just wild. I appreciate Diane and I appreciate Todd Vaughn for coming on and talking about the issues, because that was a pretty damn good conversation. It's like, it's almost like 3 hours into the night now. We started at 8 o'clock. It's almost 11. I got to go to bed. I'm getting old. And I'm sure you guys, you're probably tired after this. And I want you to join me I'll be back on Monday, 3 o'clock. It's the PG show. It's the Rob Taylor Report PG show. And no cussing and no drinking. We're going to do a straight-on interview with the guest I had canceled out. So I don't, once again, that's the problem with guests in doing a live show. You can have a guest and then all of a sudden they cancel out. Then you don't have a guest. What do? And so I'll just make up some bullshit, I guess, and you can check out and see if you buy it or not. I don't know. It's kind of what I do sometimes. And, and I don't want to sound sarcastic. It's just that I don't know if any of this is worth even talking about sometimes. But I'm going to keep rambling on. And you have a wonderful day. And remember what I always say. Carry on, please, man. Carry on.